NRL and AFL needs are here on ABC Sports, so you'll hear it all here. Have a great weekend, Georgia, and thank you so much for filling in. Both weeks, you're an absolute star.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a blast.
Awesome. All right.
ABC News, good evening. I'm Yvette Gray. Victorian Labor MP Darren Cheeseman has agreed to resign from his role as Parliamentary Secretary for Education at the request of Premier Jacinta Allen. In a statement, the Premier said she sought Mr Cheeseman's resignation due to allegations of persistent inappropriate behaviour towards staff in the workplace. The member for South Barwon will remain a member of the Victorian Parliament and a member of the Parliamentary Labor Party. The ABC has contacted Mr Cheeseman for comment. Hundreds of people have gathered in Ballarat this evening to call for urgent federal government action to address the rising number of women killed by men. Angus Delaney reports.
It's the first of 12 rallies across the country this weekend, with locals gathered outside the Ballarat Town Hall. 26 women have allegedly been killed by men this year, including 3 Ballarat women, Rebecca Young, Samantha Murphy and Hannah Maguire. Kathy Oddie helped organise the event in Ballarat and says she's been a victim of abusive relationships and sexual assault.
I've lived what it's like to be devastated by these issues.
Rally organisers are demanding the government recognise violence against women as a national emergency.
Scott Morrison has revealed he was treated with medication for anxiety while he was Prime Minister. Morrison has shared an extract of his forthcoming book with The Australian, where he details his acute anxiety and says his course of medication prevented depression. Speaking on ABC Radio Melbourne, Victorian Liberal Senator James Paterson commended his former party member for being honest about the pressures of federal politics.
Public life is a stressful experience. It's a great privilege to do what we do as parliamentarians, but there are times when you face really difficult choices between your conscience and what your party might want you to do or what the media or others expect you to do, and they're really difficult things you have to reflect on deeply.
Woolworths has been fined $1.2 million for underpaying long service leave for hundreds of Victorian workers. Last week, the supermarket giant admitted it shortchanged more than 1,200 employees due to an undetected payroll error, totalling $1.2 million in underpayments. Victorian Wage Inspectorate Commissioner Robert Hortle has told ABC Radio Melbourne any wage theft greatly impacts on livelihoods.
This is time that is supposed to be spent out of the workplace, relaxing or recuperating. It's money that's supposed to be in the pockets of these individuals so that they can pay their rent, so they can put clothes on the kids' back, so they can make informed financial decisions.
Some economists are warning that borrowers should prepare for a possible interest rate rise as soon as next month. Earlier this week, the Bureau of Statistics published worse than ever expected inflation figures, with costs such as education, healthcare and rent continuing to climb. Judo Bank's chief economic advisor and former Treasury economist Warren Hogan says the Reserve Bank will need to hike interest rates again this year to bring inflation down to its 2 to 3% target.
We're trying to pull off something that no country's ever done, we've never done, and that is get rid of inflation without a recession, without a bad recession. And that's that narrow path, and it just looks like we're wandering off it. And that just is a signal to the RBA that rates aren't high enough, unfortunately.
Sport Integrity Australia is welcoming the move by the World Anti-Doping Agency to launch an independent review over its handling of a banned substance case involving 23 Chinese swimmers. Fraser Fife has more.
Chinese authorities claimed and wider accepted that contamination caused the 23 athletes to test positive to a performance-enhancing drug, which is used for heart conditions in the lead-up to the Tokyo Games in 2021. Australia's anti-doping agency had called for WADA to initiate an independent review of the regulatory framework and processes applied. Sport Integrity Australia is hoping the review will provide clarity and ensure faith is maintained in the global anti-doping system in the lead-up to the Paris Olympics and Paralympics. The findings of the investigation are expected within 2 months.
One of the most intense selection contests for this year's Paris Olympics is among Australia's women marathoners. Only 3 athletes can go to Paris, but during the past 18 months of qualifications, 6 Australians have run faster than the Olympic entry standard. Izzy Bat-Doyle is in contention and says it's hard to know who will be chosen.
I have run the 5th fastest Australian all time, so it just gives you an idea of how competitive it is right now. We're just rewriting the record books, and it's pretty amazing to be a part of that era of women's distance running in Australia.
To the weather, cloudy with isolated showers over the far southern coast, dry and partly cloudy in the north. Melbourne, partly cloudy tomorrow, a top of 18 after an overnight low of 9, and Sunday partly cloudy 22. It's currently 14 degrees. ABC News.
Time to steady and pull the trigger.
Tackle your week with the ABC AFL Daily Podcast. Join myself, Catherine Murphy, AFL legend Paul Roos and expert panellists every day to get the latest news, game analysis and insights straight from the field.
The way the rules are now, you're not allowed to brace yourself and hit someone in the head in a marking contest.
Tune in to stay ahead of the game and get your daily dose of footy fever. Find the ABC AFL Daily Podcast on the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
Wheeling, dodging, dazzling away, blows the eyes, beautiful vision, hooks it on the right, threads the needle. Delivery, and how's marking? He's started on the bench, he's been on for about 20 seconds, and he's going.
Hard against the boundary, fires on goal and got it.
Stolen, snapped it, over his shoulder, he's kicked an absolute ripper.
By hook or by crook, they're staying alive in this game.
Welcome to ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 Anzac Day round.
He'll just kick the ball inside 50. It's a one-on-one. He goes for goal this time, and this time he doesn't miss.
Sends it into the arc, off hands, swarms, tumbles it towards goal. Excellent finish.
Bouncing ball, zigging, zagging, snapping around the corner, and bouncing it through.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
Bolt wandered it over the top. He's going longer than that. Martin in the goal square. He's got the one-hander.
Runs on the ball, kicks on goal and puts it through.
The 2024 AFL season.
On your radio,
Sport Digital.
and on the ABC Listen app.
Just look for the AFL button.
Welcome to the dazzling Adelaide Oval in the heart of South Australia for a contest that centres on respect, recognition and tonight redemption. For the 20th consecutive season, Port Adelaide has the honour of hosting an Anzac round matchup, this time a Friday night fixture against the Saints, with both sides eager to bounce back after embarrassing performances last weekend. The Power will need to do so without star recruit Vance Soldo, though, who's headed for knee surgery. Meanwhile, St Kilda spearhead Max King will once again miss with a knee complaint. It's great to have your company across the country on ABC Sport. Aaron Bryan's calling the action this evening, and alongside me is Neil Cross. Good evening, Crossy.
Aaron, great to be here. Great test this will be for both these clubs, coming off pretty poor performances in round 6. And, of course, Adelaide can't be bigger, can it? We've had the gather round. We've got the Live Golf this weekend that everybody's looking forward to. In fact, I think people have already started on the Live Golf today. The Anzac round is up and running. It's great to be here.
Speaking of the golf, the first of our two experts, Adelaide Premiership player Rod Jamieson, have been trying to steer him away from the Live Golf highlights. Jamo, you've got to get your footy hat on. Big night of contest, a big contest ahead of us tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Crossy. Yes, it's hard not to look at what's going on. Anzac Day yesterday, the MCG, Melbourne and Collingwood in front of, 97,000. How good was Jamie Elliott's mark? Insane. For a small bloke over Ben Mackay, who's 202 centimetres. And we've got Liv here. So I was just showing Josh the waterhole and what happened last year.
And
everyone is waiting for it again to happen. So, no, it's a great time to be around Adelaide.
No hole-in-ones today, but we'll give you some scores across the night in all of the codes that's happening around the country. Alongside Rod Jamieson, 3-time Showdown medalist Josh Franco. Good to see you, Josh.
Evening, everyone. And I guess to echo what Crossy said just a few moments ago, both sides coming off really poor losses last week, so it'll be really interesting to see how they respond. Port Adelaide took on Collingwood, came away licking their wounds, so I'm probably more interested to see how they're going to respond tonight. So it should be a cracking game.
In terms of the tag that Port Adelaide's currently holding, they're deemed flat track bullies, and I mentioned this to Jamo off air that there's a lot tonight riding for St Kilda. At 2 and 4, you obviously need to keep your season alive, and they feel like they're a finals chance. Port Adelaide, meanwhile, if they get the job done tonight, how much can we actually learn about them? They've had victories over West Coast, Richmond, Essendon and Fremantle. But their actual record against top sides is the concerning part. So since 2022, 2-9 against top 4 teams, 7-16 against top 8 sides, and then 24-7 against the rest. So they failed another big test last week, and it just feels like they're stuck in limbo.
I think that's going to be the narrative right up until the final start. Regardless of what happens in the home and away series, Port Adelaide, again, in my humble opinion, they'll play finals, but the real test won't come until September. And unfortunately, or fortunately for Port Adelaide, that's the predicament they're in the moment, based on what's happened in previous years.
Which is the tricky part about tonight, is not looking too far ahead and just getting the job done.
Well, they've still got to get there. I think they're a quality side, but I'm also along the lines of what you're saying too. It's hard not to go. They could be 21-2. You know, like the real stuff starts for Port Adelaide when they get to the final. So they've still got to get there. So I was actually reflecting on something, Josh. I don't know. This is going back some time, but this was 2016, and Gerard Whateley interviewed David Koch in the box here, and I just sat back and listened to some of the things David Koch said. They wanted to be a disruptor of the AFL, and that's when they were going into China to try and build it. So they didn't focus on women's football. This is where they wanted to go. He thought the leadership group has let us down, and did the senior players. I think at the time, the first couple of years of Ken Hinkley being in charge, he said it's a Cinderella story. The last 2 years have been difficult. He said, you know, the members are frustrated. We can't trust the team. Like, he just went so hard. And they finished 10th. Then they went on to finish 7th, and 2 further years of 18, 19, 10th. And then in 2020, they went 3rd. Now, I'm not saying they're back there, but I think, you know, the theme of where Port Adelaide are at, I think that's where a lot of their supporters and
it's
their
that
members,
lack of confidence, isn't it?
Yeah, they are quality, and I think most people would say they've probably got the best midfield in the competition. Arguably, GWS, Geelong. I mean, there's a couple that you could put them alongside with, and you go, yep, they stack up, but they just can't get it done when they need to get it done.
And I think on that as well, and I guess having been part of Port Adelaide in the early 2000s, and we had the choking tag in 01, 02, 03, I sort of question how much impact it has on the playing group as well. When they hear this external stuff, and it's amplified, you know, 1,000-fold with social media and all the other platforms that these players have access to in terms of the feedback they get, how much of an impact that has on them. And again, it's not so much what happens now, it's what happens in 3 or 4 months' time when the business end of the season starts. And again, as a player, I think that would have some sort of impact.
But they still have to do the work. That's the thing. They've got to do the work, don't they? So let's not dismiss that it's a fait accompli. They're going to get there. I think they're good enough to get there. But the highlights that you've just touched on.
Well, the issue is the manner of the loss last week. So to go up by 31 points and then roll over and lose by 42, that they could have lost in a close game. We wouldn't really be talking about them in this manner. But it's the big games where they fall so dramatically short that is the concerning.
Well, they had that same last year, the corresponding round last year. Is that right?
Yep.
Am I right? And they got obliterated right from the get-go. And I mean, Port Adelaide regrouped, I think, after that from memory and won 13 or 14 in a row. Yep. But once again, it just comes back to that point I just made, that the players will get up for this. Again, I guess the boring party line is that they'll come out and have a really good performance against St Kilda tonight. They'll probably win and tick that box. But as I said, the narrative really starts in 3 or 4 months' time.
Well, 6 goals in the first quarter, 3 Collingwood, so they were up. And then for the rest of the game, Port Adelaide kicked 6-6, and Collingwood went on to kick 14 goals, 17 for the next 3 quarters. And then, so we just thought we'd go back and have a look at some of the stats in terms of the areas and where Port Adelaide really struggled, and they've just got blown away in all the areas that they actually play really good football in. And the contested ground ball gets, the uncontested possession, like Collingwood really beat them up in the last 3 quarters. And I think when you look at St Kilda, I actually quite like the way they have started. And they defeated Collingwood, they defeated Richmond, but they only lost to Geelong by 8 points, Essendon 4, GWS 1, and then they go out and they play that game last week and get absolutely belted by 10 goals. So that was a real surprise for me for St Kilda.
Yeah. They're almost the flip side, the Saints. So Port Adelaide, we're talking about, we expect them to play finals football. It's just a matter of how well they do when they get there. St Kilda very much are buying in. They believe they're a team that can contend or at least play in September. But I look at their results across the year and I'm thinking maybe they're a little bit overrated. It's 2-4, a side that's getting absolutely obliterated at the source. So in terms of stoppage. They're 18th in the league for damage from stoppage, 10th for damage from turnovers. They're actually only scored from 18% of their clearances, the second worst team at doing that. And understandably, they've had a couple of big names that are out. Brad Crouch is one of the most notable omissions at the moment, but that Steele, Windhager and Ross midfield, I'm a little concerned about it tonight against Rosie, Horne-Francis and Butters.
Well, I think if you look across all the lines, I can't see them kicking a score against Port Adelaide defenders. You talk about the midfield battle. I think Port Adelaide's midfield, they're back home. They'll get their mojo back. They're too quick. Concern, I guess, for St Kilda is I suppose the lack of leg speed in their midfield and even down back for Port Adelaide. I can't see St Kilda's forwards troubling the Port Adelaide defenders tonight. So I guess to your point, Aaron, I tend to agree with you and use that word overrated. I guess if you're comparing list v list, I don't think they're anywhere near Port Adelaide, man for man. And not to say that they can't get the job done tonight. And Ross Lyon's the master of, restricting opposition from scoring and defending. And tonight you'll see St Kilda, without question, take away Port Adelaide's ability to go back through the corridor. So Port Adelaide will have to come up with some different, tactics and methods around how they want to move the ball. But I just can't see them troubling Port Adelaide man for man. And to your point, Aaron, I do think St Kilda's list isn't where it needs to be.
And Dan Butler's a significant out for him with his experience and what he offers up forward, sometimes through the middle. But the speed that I thought they had, and I was always a bit of a G for Zach Jones, and he's been omitted tonight. He's been in and out. So, but I do like Marcus Windhager, though. Like, you will see him in the flesh tonight, and he's played 42 games, but he just accumulates the football. He doesn't necessarily have the speed, but I think at times, St Kilda have always had like a gutsy, like Jack Steele. Like, you just look at them and go, there's a bit of trust in the way he plays and leads, and I think St Kilda have always had that type of player.
And what I will say, going back to the comments I made about St Kilda, what I will say, in fairness to Ross Lyon, he's never come out and promoted them as a top 8 side. Would that be fair to say? Yeah. I mean, I know last year he thought they probably made finals a couple of years earlier than they perhaps should have.
Well, even last week, he was pretty open and honest in the pre-game that he wasn't expecting them to play well because they'd had so many games in such a short period of time, which is real honesty from Ross, which we haven't really seen over the last few years.
It's spin too.
I actually think a year out of it's done the world of good. Like, it's freshened him up, and he's a super dry person. I actually quite enjoyed his commentary in the media when he was there, and he looks from a distance a lot more relaxed in the box than maybe what he had been in the past.
Seems almost refreshed in a way.
Yeah, quite possibly.
If you are just joining us, no late changes here at the Adelaide Oval. So Angus Hastie is the sub for the Saints, Jackson Mead for the Power, Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Adelaide Premiership player Rod Jamieson, 3-time Showdown medalist, All-Australian midfielder Josh Franco, your experts, and Josh Money is down on the boundary. If you do want to get in touch with us across the night, the text line is 0437 774 774 for Friday Night Footy on ABC Sport. There is an early text in from John who says Membry should be out forever and Speedy Collard should come in. So Lance Collard only played the one game so far, the 19-year-old, and that was as an unused sub in the opening round. But looking all right from a VFL perspective. And Tim Membry, I think that's a little harsh. He's had a pretty good year so far. 11 goals for, 3 last week. Unfortunately, heading into tonight, though, Port Adelaide's a bit of a bogey side for him. He's the side that he doesn't kick the most goals on. So we'll see how he performs here.
I like the way he presents himself. Like, he goes at it, and with the flight of the football, he'll run back into it as well, too. And I quite liked him when he was at Sydney. And then coming to St Kilda, and it has been a bit of a hard yakka for him there, but I think he presents well.
Just quickly on the Ross Lyon factor and how refreshed he does seem and how open and honest he is, what do you actually make of it when your coach comes out before a game and says he's not expecting you to be at your best after 3 games in 11 days? Does it set a poor tone that he'd almost written them off before the game even started?
When were those comments made?
That was about 30 minutes before the bounce last week.
I guess the only thing I'd say in favour of that,
players don't hear that.
Maybe they wouldn't have heard that, but if the players were privy to that information, I don't think it's the right thing to do. Yeah. I wouldn't do it if I was
you're not going to go, you know what, do your best this week. I know it's been a tough couple of weeks, but just do your best, that'll do.
Port Adelaide making their way out onto the Adelaide Oval. A 4-2 record for the season, but a loss by 42 points to Collingwood last week. It's a big night for them as part of Anzac Round, as I mentioned earlier. The 20th consecutive year that they've hosted an Anzac game. The Peter Badco medal is on the line tonight as well, which will be voted on by numerous members across the industry. Young Sullivan Ball Ace is running out with the team tonight as part of their Power to Thrive program. So the club actually markets itself quite well as what it says is the only club in the league that currently supports active veterans and also members of the Australian Defence Force. So they've got the Power to Thrive program, which supports families and children of those who are currently serving. They've also got their Veterans Fund. Sullivan, his dad Adrian, is currently serving in the Royal Australian Air Force. He's actually wearing his dad's medals as he runs out tonight, so really good story there. No specific Anzac Guernsey for the Power tonight. They've got the little logo just above their chest, but they've actually marketed a cap this year for Maria Maloney, who's a current player and is currently serving. So you can go check that out if you do want to get any sorts of Anzac apparel. But something very close to the Port Adelaide Football Club in terms of how they support their veterans. They've got 2 military medalists as part of their long and storied history. William Roy Drummond from World War I, Bob Quinn from World War II as well. And this is one of the rare football clubs that also played during the war. So the Sandful shut down in 1915, Jamo, and the Port Adelaide Football Club played on and established the South Australian Patriotic Association. So very well intrinsically linked with the Australian Defence Forces, Port Adelaide.
I think Port Adelaide, I think all clubs now do it really well, and I'm involved locally and just playing yesterday on Anzac Day too, both men and the women. So I think we all acknowledge and honour, and we are truly lucky as to where we are in life now for a lot of people that have sacrificed and put that forward.
How'd that match go for the Bays in the SANFL?
Yeah, they had a bit of a tough day yesterday, the men's. But the women had a good win.
Yeah, the men's grand final rematch didn't go the way
that Jumbo would have with the sturdy. He's getting stirred.
He's getting stuck into you early.
Hey?
Port Adelaide out on the Adelaide Oval, about to host St Kilda on Friday Night Football. Earlier in the round, I should say, Melbourne defeating Richmond by 43 points. The draw yesterday, that was an absolutely amazing contest. If you haven't heard it, the last 3 minutes are online at the ABC Sport website. Draw between the Bombers and the Magpies. And then last night, the Giants defeating Brisbane by 54 points. There was another game here earlier as well, the curtain raiser between the ADF and the Emergency Service Aces. The ADF won that 56-21, and it was a pretty tough game for them as well. Midway through the second quarter, when the overcast conditions and the sun was setting, got quite dark here and the lights hadn't been turned on, and they did their best to play through it. Eventually they got a second half under the proper conditions. It was a pretty good contest, so congratulations to the ADF guys who got the victory there. For a St Kilda perspective tonight, guys, we've touched a little bit on where their season sits. How do they actually get the job done then if their midfield, as we feel, is probably not as strong as Port Adelaide's? A side that has missing so many big names. So Butler, you touched on, Jamo. Hunter Clark's out, Brad Crouch is out, Liam Henry's out, Mason Wood, Jimmy Webster. They're just doing their best to compete, and they've had some really close finishes over the opening month. Do you feel like there's a way or a back door for them to snatch a win tonight? I
think there is. I think they're conceivably a chance. We know Port Adelaide are a far better side at home majority of the time than they are when they're away. I think last week's game they really built themselves up, and I heard the players talk about how they were looking forward to getting to the MCG last week to take on last year's premiers. And when I looked at the first quarter again, and they were up and about and they were away. So whatever happened after that, I'm unsure. And they would have been critical of that and how they reviewed it post-game. But I think they do. I think Seb Ross is a good quality. I think Winhager too in the middle. We spoke about Jack Steele. Rowan Marshall in the ruck. I think he's a seriously good competitor and big around the ground too. So I like their back line. And Caminiti up forward, whilst he's young and he's youthful. Again, there is a bit of pace and speed that's not there. But I do, and I don't mind St Kilda. And I think we've spoken about it in the past. Like a Ross line team, it's very rare that they don't, or they're not a hard team, Josh, to play against, because they are very highly driven to negate and stop you from scoring.
And particularly after the loss last week, which no doubt they would have been seething at St Kilda. And you talk about where the avenue to win. I think all tonight, in terms of how the game potentially unfolds, is I reckon the review, even though Ross came out into the press conferences and made excuses about the 11-day period of 3 games, they will defend as if their life depends on it tonight. I reckon they'll get back to their one wood and how they defend as a team. Port Adelaide, we know, like to use the corridor. Again, predicting how the game unfolds, St Kilda will defend the corridor really well, and Port Adelaide, knowing how they're geared and it's in their DNA, they attack that corridor at every opportunity. And if St Kilda can create and generate enough turnovers in the middle of the ground and get them back going the other way, I reckon that's holds him in good stead to potentially get a win tonight.
I think Ivan Soldo too, being out, he's been tremendous in his short time here at Port Adelaide as well. And I think it's a solid message to Ryan Burt for a guy that's been around and is so reliant on his run and his carry and then his elite foot skills. Like, for him to be omitted through form, I think that's a significant out. So which is okay. I mean, if you're not playing the footy that you need to, then the benchmark is, then you go back and have a kick and then get back into the side.
The loss of Soldo's a pretty big one tonight, I think, for Rowan Marshall, considering he loves to win his own foot. He's averaging 21 touches a game. The last time these two sides met, he managed to nab a Brownlow vote as well. And Jordan Sweets looked pretty impressive in the pre-season. He's had with the power, what we've seen in the Sandful as well, and then last week alongside Soldo. But you're talking about a guy in Rowan Marshall who's arguably in All-Australian contention and a player who's been around the system for a while in Jordan Sweet, but is only playing his 13th game tonight.
Well, it's interesting when you talk about Marshall. When you talk about the elite ruckman in the competition, Gawn comes up regularly, Grundy, those types of players. He's actually a genuine star of the comp, Marshall. And again, going up against the Jordan Sweet tonight, you would imagine that Marshall would have the edge on Sweet as they go into the game. And again, you're looking for avenues and reasons for St Kilda to get the 4 points tonight. I reckon that's a big match-up in terms of how the game potentially unfolds in terms of the midfield battle.
Yeah, and he gets around the ground as well. He's got some good foot skills. And he does like the physical nature of the game. So I haven't not seen Jordan Sweet play for Port Adelaide yet, so I'll be intrigued to see how he goes about it. Of course, Charlie Dixon comes back in, and at some point he'll probably do 3 or 4 minutes of ruck work each quarter just to help Jordan Sweet through the game.
Which is a tricky balance for them in itself, because Charlie Dixon loves a contact injury and they were trying to wrap him up and make sure he makes it all the way through to September. So they'll have to be careful when he does float in to chop out Jordan Sweet. 206-centimetre ruckman, big Jordan, and he's still pretty mobile as well. So I think he'll have a pretty decent impact tonight. A couple of texts to run through on ABC Sport Friday Night Footy here at the Adelaide Oval, 0437 774 774. Grant and Waterloo says, top call as usual, go Saints. And Mikey from Bendigo says, hi team, spoke to a few Lions players at the airport today who said GWS are easily the best team they've played this year. Hopefully Brisbane can win the next 4. If not, it is season over for us. Yeah, the Lions are in a very precarious position right now, and the Giants, there's some rumblings that people should start buying Giants memberships because you can get a ticket to the grand final considering how little members they have, because it's very likely they'll be there, which at least gets you a foot in the door. The Saints have made their way out onto the Adelaide Oval as well as part of this Anzac appeal round, and a special occasion here for Friday Night Footy. We will have an observance in a moment's time. They've had almost 300 listed players serve through the ADF during World War I and World War II. 21 have passed while serving as well. So a big game for the Saints. And as I touched on as well, tonight the Peter Badcoe Medal will once again be awarded. It was introduced in 2004. Lenny Hayes is the only St Kilda player to have won it. Different sides have played against Port Adelaide over the years, but Travis Boak has won 3 of them, Connor Rosie 2, but it's named after Major Peter Badcoe, who was awarded the Victoria Cross for valour for several actions during the Vietnam War. So it's not so much the best player on the ground, it's the player who displays the best Anzac spirit across the night. So hopefully we get a nice, tough, gritty, contested game of footy here at the Adelaide Oval. Still to come tomorrow as well, we'll have North Melbourne and Adelaide, Geelong and Carlton, and Fremantle and the Western Bulldogs. We'll run through all the teams on Sunday, closer towards half-time, and give you some results in the Live Golf as well. 0437 774 774 if you do want to get in touch. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rod Jamison, Josh Franco and Josh Money with you for the call. I'll tell you what, we've got a bit of time, so I'll give you some of these teams here. So on Sunday, the Suns and the Eagles final teams. As we expected, Harley Reid is going to be managed for West Coast after his really impressive performance in the Western Derby. Tom Barras is out with suspension after his dangerous tackle on Michael Walters, and Noah Long is out injured. So Liam Ryan's in for his first game of the year. Big addition for the Eagles, who are on a winning streak. Luke Edwards. Flying Ryan. It's been a while. Luke Edwards and Harry Edwards also playing for the Eagles. For the Suns, Rory Atkins and Sam Day is in.
Did you ever get called Flying Franco?
No, I don't think he took many high-flying marks. Ethan Reid managed for the Suns. Bodie Hewland out as well. He was omitted. And the final game of the round, we'll see the Hawks take on the Swans. Mitch Lewis is in, as is Will Day for his first game of the season. So great to see him back in.
I think Sydney is a serious team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm a bit worried about the Hawks to the MCG on Sunday. It could be a blowout very easily. Massimo D'Ambrosio managed as well for the Hawks, and Henry Hustwaite has been omitted. So there's your final teams for the Sunday games, and we'll run through the entire round as we get closer to half-time. We're counting down the game here on Friday night at the Adelaide Oval, though. Both teams in preparation for the Anzac observance. It is Port Adelaide and St Kilda under the bright lights on ABC Sport. No late changes for either side. So Angus Hastie is the sub for the Saints. Once again, it's his third game, and it's the third time he's the sub. Jackson Mead is the sub for Port Adelaide. So Charlie Dixon back in action. No Max King for the Saints. It's all coming up next on ABC Sport.
ABC Sport.
Welcome to ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 Anzac Day round.
Something big is coming, I know.
Anzac round rolls into South Australia as Port Adelaide's 20-year tradition of honouring those who have served continues with a Friday night fixture against the Saints. It's a cause that links these clubs closely, with over 450 listed players combined serving their country and 36 paying the ultimate sacrifice. We'll take you down for the observance ceremony in a moment. If you have just joined us, welcome to the Adelaide Oval. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross calling the action for you this evening. Premiership Crow Rod Jamieson, three-time showdown medalist Josh Franco are your experts. There are no late changes. Angus Hastie is the sub for the Saints. Jackson Mead for the Power. Charlie returns to the lineup for the home side. We won't be seeing Max King tonight for the Saints, which increases their extended injury list that includes Brad Crouch, Hunter Clark, Liam Henry, Mason Wood, Jimmy Webster. So hopefully the Saints will be bolstered by some big names to come over the next few weeks. The Saints sitting at 2-4. I think their season's sitting pretty precariously at the moment. They need a victory after the 60-point loss to the Dogs. Port Adelaide, meanwhile, embarrassed by Collingwood last weekend, failing yet another big test. They want to get back on the bandwagon tonight with a home victory over the Saints in front of a fairly decent crowd on a brisk night here in Adelaide. Thank you so much for your company. The text line, if you do want to get in touch, 0437 774 774. Let's head downstairs with Jared Walsh.
The Australian Football League, along with the Port Adelaide and St Kilda football clubs, invite you to join the coaches, players and umpires as we honour the Anzacs and all those that gave their lives in the service of their country. Our thoughts too are with those currently on active service. If able, would you please stand and remove your hats for the Anzac observance. To join us on this occasion, we welcome RSL SA President Dave Peterson to recite the Ode of Remembrance.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. lest we forget.
Would you please remain upstanding for the National Anthem of New Zealand, to be followed by the Australian National Anthem performed by Army musician Eliza Dixon.
Gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every state advance Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the footy.
Another magnificent ceremony to continue this special weekend. It's Friday night football. The Power and the Saints. It's part of Anzac Round on ABC Sport. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross calling the action. Premiership player Rod Jamieson, All-Australian midfielder Josh Franco, your experts. Jamo, it's not often that you hear one person sing both anthems, and gee, Major Eliza Dixon did a magnificent job.
Oh, amazing voice, isn't it, too? So, no, it's always in the appropriate way. It's so wonderful to hear and be a part of the occasion, and how everyone recognises it and what they do, and so they should. But as both teams now go to either end and continue their warm-up to get ready to go, bounce down in 1 or 2 minutes.
Quick turnaround. It's a little awkward sometimes, isn't it, when you're standing there in the cold night and then you've got a couple of minutes to get ready for a big game, Josh?
Absolutely. Yeah,
I've gone for the jacket.
You have, haven't you? All rugged up. But, yeah, they'll go through their paces now. They're ready to go. Both sides looking forward to the bounce.
0437 774 774 if you do want to get in touch with us across the night. There are no late changes. Angus Hastie, the sub for the Saints. Jackson Mead for the Power. We've gone back and forth a little bit on the pros and cons of both sides, where their season currently sits, but break it all down for us, gents. How is it playing out tonight?
Well, I think from Port Adelaide's perspective, Jamo, we've spoken a little bit about it in the pre-game. I think they're going to have too much speed in the midfield. Zach Butters, Connor Rosie, even Horn Francis, too much speed, that loose scramble. Even though they were poor, really poor for 3 quarters last week against Collingwood, they'll bounce back to their best. And as we said, if Port Adelaide get their front half game going and are able to lock it in their front half and give their forwards, Dixon and Marshall, the opportunity to get hold of the footy, I think they've got too much firepower up forward.
I probably agree again, and I think Port Adelaide are a better side here, but I like just the dourness of Saints, and albeit whilst they don't have the genuine leg speed, they've got the players in and around the football that can win the football. They're methodical in the way in which they use it. They've got a good defence. They do carry the lines, and they do miss a number of their key forwards. Clearly Max King and Butler up forward too. Liam Hendry saw in the early part. They're going to be out for a little while, but I'm not writing them off, but I think Port Adelaide just.
Great. One thing I was going to say as well, just before the bounce gets underway, is down back, do they go to Houston or do they go to Farrell to lock them away? Because they are the prime movers. Houston's probably the one that they need to shut down from St Kilda's perspective, so it'll be interesting to see whether Ross Lyons decide to shut him out of the game as a defensive forward.
Is there a defensive forward you'd pick to do that job?
I don't think they've got anyone to go with him, to be brutally honest with you. But do you roll the dice and let a Houston run riot and let him be the architect of Port Adelaide's ball movement? Probably not. Let's see.
Maybe Jack Higgins is the one, but because he's obviously going to be as dangerous. That's where he wants to go, which will hopefully then stop Houston running off from a Saints perspective.
Jack Steele won the coin toss, kicking to the northern end. We'll check in on conditions with Josh Money in just a moment. It's Port Adelaide and St Kilda. Great to have you with us for Friday Night Footy on ABC Sport. Neil Cross to get things going.
Jordan Sweet to line up for Port Adelaide in the ruck, up against Marshall of St Kilda. Sweet comes down on the ball, can't release it after he grabbed it on the ground. I think he might go. No, says the umpire. So ball has not moved out of the centre circle, and I mean the small centre circle.
See if we can go again. Lee Fisher tosses it into the air, one down by Sweet. Straight to Horn Francis, who's caught high by Stocker. Free kick to the Power to get things going. You'll get the exit quickly to the broadcast wing. Finds Williams, one of the 3 inclusions. Loads up into the right forward pocket. Georgiadis is his target. Nearly took it overhead of Wilkie. At the back, the handball comes clear from the Saints. Thrusted forward by Howard, only found Rioli. Back to Williams at right half forward. Moves it on to Houston, who loads up from 60. Dixon's waiting in the goal square. Can't quite get around Cordy, and it's smacked through for a minor score off the hands of Sinclair. Port on the board first, just the behind in the opening minute. Josh Money, what's it like down at ground level?
Yeah, it is quite fresh. There's a slight breeze for the northern end, which of course St Kilda won the toss and kicking that way. About 14 degrees, getting colder, so you'll see some of that dew that we're accustomed to at Adelaide Oval. So important to see who adjusts quickest.
Well, Sinclair brought the ball in for St Kilda and immediately found an opponent. Farrell with the intercept mark. He's 60 out, just beyond his range, but only just. Sends it towards Dixon, 25 out. Ball now on the ground as it spills away from a couple of players. Pal Pepper tries to steam through and is taken down and held about 20 metres out, straight in front of the goal face at that River Torrens into the ground. Ball up.
Dixon front position, won it down, busting through Wines, left it behind. Bang! Pal Pepper. Diving spear through Burns, bowled him over. Ball hits the deck and held up. We'll get another ball up. Oh, he's seeing red early, Sam Palpepper. He's floating here dangerously as well. Dixon again wins it down, just wide of Rosie. Stocker gets there first for the Saints, tumbles a kick 5 metres, and Sinclair can launch it out a defensive 50 to the outer side. Zerk Thatcher was there but put down the uncontested mark. Front and square was Sweet, his handball cut off. Sliding in, Membry tries to gather. Wrenched out by Owens for the Saints, only found Zerk Thatcher. His kick just the required 15, but only found Sinclair. So St Kilda have it now at cross half back. They're trailing by a point in the opening few minutes. Friday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Sinclair wide to Wilson. Takes the ball, plays on. Goes down towards half forward. Owens off the contest, taken high. Ratagalia just slipping high as perhaps Owens slipped over. Into the scoreboard pocket he goes with a short ball. And the mark taken there from Wilson running on. So he's got an opportunity to have a look at the goal face.
Well, I think Wilson ended up on Jordan Sweet on the outer side there, and Sweet just couldn't run with him. And he took an uncontested mark with no one within 25 metres of him.
So the speed in which St Kilda moved the football then got over the back of Port Adelaide, but the players that you spoke of, Josh, in Williams, Farrell and Houston, all the Port Adelaide players that the Saints don't want to carry the footy have already dropped inside forward 50.
Wilson played all 6 games and now 7 this season. In he comes. Hooks it slightly, so it's across the goal face and through for the minus score. So we're, after 3 minutes, level up at 1 behind apiece.
On the text line, Matty P from Morowa. Currently harvesting my 4 tonne of wheat. Loving the coverage. It's about nearly 6 o'clock there in WA, so keep going, Matty. Long exit from Port Adelaide. Off a couple of hands, Hill retreats back. Marshall gets it inside 50 for the Saints. Caminiti couldn't control it in the air. Owens dives in and is wrapped up in a tackle too high. Free kick going Mitch Owens' way. 35 out from goal, straight in front.
Just a little bit sloppy. I think it was Farrell that gave away that high contact. Just looking at the replay, they're always the tricky ones when a player's gone down low to pick up that ground ball. If you come in and you're too reckless, as Farrell was on that occasion, you pay the price.
That's what you want him to do, isn't it, too? Yeah. Just hit the contest, head over the football.
Yep.
Majority of the time, you're going to win one.
Stray arm just clipping him late, and now Mitch Owens with the set shot. He's starting all the way back in the centre square, looking to strike the first blow for the Saints. 5-3 for the year for the 20-year-old. This rising star for St Kilda crosses the paint of 50. Low and hard kick. That is straight as an arrow. And the Saints have the first goal on Friday night footy. 1-1-7, they lead Port Adelaide, the one behind. 4.5 in on ABC Sport. Josh Money downstairs.
Aaron, not a lot of love for the 2 milestone men tonight. Both Zach Butters and Riley Bonner for their respective teams starting on the bench. Just wondering what Josh and Jamo think of that on such a big night. Do you want a Zach Butters in that centre square straight away, fired up?
Yeah, look, interesting question there, Josh. I think if you looked at a guy like Zach Butters, we spoke about this off air, Jamo, that I think Port Adelaide, they'd like to have 2 of Horn Francis, Butters and Rosie in the centre bounce. So unfortunately, Butters starts the game on the interchange so they can get the mix of the midfield to where they want it to be.
They've started just 9 centre bounces together out of 172, Rosie, Butters and Horn Francis.
I actually don't mind it based on what I just said in terms of getting the right mix and getting speed along with the bigger bodies.
Rosie and Horn Francis in there this time. Ball on the ground. Just socked forward by Stocker for St Kilda. So it's the front end of the square and tied up. We'll get a ball up.
Guess further to that, with all due respect, you wouldn't want Wines, Drew, not enough leg speed in there. So they try to keep a mix of speed and the bigger bodies.
One down by Marshall. Drew stuck a hand out, couldn't reel it in. Ross paddles it, trying to find Windhager, who slid towards the footy. Couldn't pick it up. Ross again goes, trying to dart past Rosie. Brought down, dropped the footy, holding the ball. Free kick to the power skipper, and he wants to go. Releases Houston, charging through the centre circle. Sending it inside 50, just a bit shallow for the sliding Marshall. Front and square, though, was Boakey. Hands it off to Dixon. Retreats back to Bergman. Lowers the eyes, dinks it back to the pocket. Marshall came out, diving across court. He got a fist in. Smashes it into the screen. And it will be a boundary throw in. 25 out. Left forward pocket. Riverbank stand end. That is the right-hand side of your radio dial if you're a Port Adelaide fan. But you're down by 6.
Yeah, Houston, 2 kicks, 100%.
Rowan Marshall flicks it over, but it's taken by Powell Pepper. The snap to the top of the square. And was calmly handled in the end there by Cordy. Went wide with his kick. Was it too wide? No. Umpire says mark to Wilson on the chest. Just inside that boundary on the eastern side of the ground and just inside defensive 50. He retreats and Battle takes it. And then they flare out the other side from that mark to Wilkie. Knows the ground well. Played here in a premiership for North Adelaide. Down the line goes the kick. And this time coming across, it was Houston just ahead of Ross to knock it over the boundary line. So at half forward, right half forward for Port Adelaide, we'll get a throw in.
I think that's the other thing with Houston. Offensively, he's a weapon, but also defensively, his closing speed, as we saw on that occasion, just able to spoil the ball out of bounds.
Thoughts of All-Australian midfielder Josh Franco alongside Rod Jamieson, your experts tonight. St Kilda by 6, Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Toss back in, Marshall won it down. Quickly Wines will lay a tackle. Holds up Jack Steele.
The matchup as well. It looks like Brad Hill v Houston. So you let Houston run at your own risk, and he's already having an influence on the game. Big job for Brad Hill tonight.
He's averaging 32 touches per game in the last 2, Brad Hill, and now playing a defensive role, and he's given away a free kick out of the stoppage. Caught Houston too high. He plays on through the logo on the broadcast wing and looks to switch. Spots Farrell in the centre square. He'll keep moving it. Long kick over the top to Bergman. Found himself all alone. 48 outside angle to the left, and he's happy to go back and take his set shot.
Farrell's just got a deadly left, hasn't he?
Well, the other thing I was going to say, even with that kick, he almost gave a false cue that he was going to kick it wider and then just pulled the kick back. Yeah. So guys that can do that, I mean, I never could understand how these players can do that. That was outstanding.
Lost the crowd in the moment. There was a bit of a sigh and a groan, thinking that maybe he'd whiffed it, but pulled the kick magnificently. And now Bergman can trot in from the attacking edge of the square. Loads up from about 60. Plenty of power, but just through on the left-hand side. Another blemish for Port Adelaide. 2 behinds for them to start this contest. St Kilda lead 1-1-7 at the 8.5-minute mark on ABC Sport.
So from the kick-in, Sinclair has kicked it short and then received the handball and was immediately tagged in a tackle. And Pal Pepper, who's on fire in terms of tackling early in this game, will receive the free kick. He's 40 out. He thinks he's got the distance back to goal. He walks back.
Well, we've only played 7 minutes, Jamo. You got a smile on your face. I think you know what's coming. He's probably the best player on the ground, the most influential player on the ground at the moment. We saw him almost cannonball-like earlier in this quarter, and on that occasion, his closing speed and his mentality to get at the opposition was just outstanding.
Just a human missile.
Yeah. See what his range is like with his kick. He's powered it long, but astray. Might have hit the post in the end. The umpire signalling yes, it did hit the post. Might have been one of the poor players. Didn't catch it. Might have been Wines who kicked it through, but Wanganeen Malira to bring the ball in quickly.
Straight up the corridor, long booming kick to the square. Aaliyah goes to ground to try and reel it in. Houston with the assist gathered and was wrapped up by Stocker. Umpire circles and says holding the ball. Simon Meredith didn't hesitate. Free kick to the Saints. Stocker stepped off his line and is quickly called to play on. Has to rush the handball to Marshall, who jams it up towards half forward. Aaliyah wrestling there with Caminiti. Another whistle. This time it's going Port Adelaide's way. Wide of the stoppage, Lockie Jones was held. Calls for an option. Looks to switch. It's floating in the air a bit long. Waiting up for Bergman. Getting across Owens. Knocked it straight down to Boak though. Here come the power. Links up with Butters. 1-2 bang. Now Bergman roosts it into the 50. Marshall's got some space. Rises and clocks it. 20 out. Tight angle to the left. Todd Marshall with the set shot to come at the Riverbank stand end.
Well, the kick was dangerous with the 2. It was 2-on-2. They were able to get it. Butters came back inside and then 3 handballs just overlap out wide, and the kick from Bergman, both defenders of St Kilda thought they were there, and the kick was too deep.
So efficient on transition, Port Adelaide, something that Collingwood was able to negate last weekend. Marshall starts just inside the centre, the attacking 50 arc. Short approach. He'll kick from 25. Stabs at it and through for a minor score on the right-hand side. The 4th consecutive behind for the Power. St Kilda 1-1-7. Lead this by 3 points at the 11-minute mark of the opening term.
Well, the first one was rushed, but there's certainly 2 out of the 4 absolutely been gettable. They've gone inside on 6 occasions for 4 behind. St Kilda twice for the 1-goal one.
So Bonner bringing the ball in short for St Kilda to Sinclair, his captain, and then he dropped it short back to Bonner just outside defensive 50. Bonner playing his 7th game for St Kilda, his 100th overall. Inboard was a bad kick. Rosie off the pack goes long, and bang, there's the first goal for Port Adelaide. Former Port player Bonner making the mistake, turning the ball over at centre half forward, and who better than the skipper Connor Rosie to finish off. Score now 1-4-10 for Port Adelaide, 1-1-7 for St Kilda.
Well, that's sort of a bit unlike St Kilda. We saw the Lockie Jones kick across the ground where he kicked to a 2v2. If the ball had been turned over there, it would have come back with interest and created an inside 50 for St Kilda. They're able to get the job done at that contest and get St Kilda on the rebound, but on that occasion again just trying to force the kick back through the corridor, the St Kilda defender, and just turned it over. And Will very well read by big Charlie Dixon, but when you come back through the corridor you've got to be able to hit that kick, because if you don't it comes back with interest.
Totally.
First lead change of the night. Port up by 3. Dixon wins it down in the middle looking for Butters. First to the footy was Garcia, couldn't control it, just ran past it in the end. Caminiti gathers now for the Saints. Drew with the quick tackle. Filippo set upon We'll get a ball up. Josh Money downstairs.
Aaron, potentially a big story developing down here. Ryan Marshall, one of the informed ruckmen in the competition, just came up to the bench, pointed at his groin and has gone straight down to the room. As you just called, Caminetti in the ruck at the moment.
Massive news for the Saints, who don't have an obvious replacement for Ryan Marshall tonight. Jordan Sweet, the sole ruckman for Port Adelaide, with Ivan Soldo missing. Off the stoppage, Bergman hands it off to Butters. Tackled as he kicked it. It tumbles towards battle for the Saints in the centre square. Uses Wanganeen Miller. Beautiful turn out of danger. Sends it into the 50, but Bergman's waiting back. Takes the intercept mark. Port by 3. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Pretty much a perfect night for footy too. As Bergman flares wide, went to Burgoyne. So Burgoyne's got the mark just inside his defensive 50. He drops it in short, staying on that eastern side of the ground. Farrell over the top to Horne-Francis. Again, another little dinky kick from Horne-Francis. Just over the top. He asked a lot of Burgoyne, but he got there just ahead of Stocker. So now he's up to centre wing. Arcs around on the right foot. Stabs the ball low. Butters at the front. Takes a nice mark ahead of Ross. So Butters around on his right foot, stabs it inside 50, ball over the back. Marshall with a handball forward, Boat kicks for goal, and just astray. 1-5 on the board for Port Adelaide in the opening quarter. 1-5-11 plays 1-1-7, and we've ticked through 14 minutes.
I don't think Burgoyne's kick was intended there. It fell short, but it came off. But really liked the handball of Todd Marshall to allow Travis Boak to have a shot.
Voice of Rod Jamieson, Josh Franco, your experts tonight. Aaron Bryan's Neil Cross calling the footy. Bonner played on out of the defensive goal square, gave it to Wanganeen Miller, and the lazy kick, nonchalant, back to him, cut off by Burn Jones. He hitched Marshall, but he put it down. Uncontested marking opportunity inside the attacking 50. St Kilda get out of dodge. They exit to the broadcast wing. Owens chasing, Aaliyah on his tail. Both entangled, so Lockie Jones will gather at the back. Hands it inside to Wines. Port Adelaide now at the defensive edge of the square. Bergman inside looking for Boat. Spun out of trouble from Wilson. Back to Lockie Jones, who's bursting through the broadcast side. Kick is very poor. Just a bit short for Cordy. Did enough to tap it for Battle, and he's bowled over by Horne-Francis. It'll be a boundary throw in at right half forward for the Power. They're up by 4. Inaccuracy hurt them against Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, and they're 1-5-11 to start tonight.
But all the other indicators for Port Adelaide look really good. The contested ball, the tackle count, the ground ball gets all in Port Adelaide's favour, and they look really sharp, generating inside 50s as well.
Halfway through this opening quarter at the Adelaide Oval, ball off the ruck contest on the ground again. I think Wines got it out to Butters. Quick hand pass, Burn Jones, then away to Georgiades. Snap! He was only 20 metres out, chose to go across the body, had a bit of time, took it too far for the minor score. 1-6-12 plays 1-1-7. Port Adelaide with the lead, and immediately Stocker in the back pocket, taking the mark from the kick in from Bonner, who's found his kicking range at last.
4 easy gettable goals that Port Adelaide have just missed, isn't it? I mean, imagine that, 6-1 at the 15-minute mark of the first quarter. Game's almost over.
Howard to Battle, who now loads up through the outer side. Aaliyah there, rising up. Oh, nearly a great mark from Sharman. Put it down late. Wines was waiting at the ball drop. Uses Boak. Forward to Burgoyne. Off a step. Bangs it into the 50. Stocker front position. Georgiades over the top. Use him as a booster seat. Takes the mark. 15 out. Slight angle to the left.
And geez, just even on some of those KPIs as well. So they're +4 in tackles, Port Adelaide. They're +8 in contested possessions, and the ground ball gets their +4 as well. So dominating in the scramble. And in terms of mentality, and I guess the mentality they've come into this game, as I said, Port Adelaide look really sharp. They've got their front half game going as well. St Kilda can't seem to exit their D50 with any sort of method. And at the moment, Port Adelaide all over the Saints.
Mitch Georgiades strolls in and misses from 20 out. Through on the left-hand side, 1-7-13 Port Adelaide under the bright lights. Prime time fixture. They're floundering. St Kilda 1-1-7. 17 minutes into the opening term.
Saints very quickly to centre wing. Membry has the mark. Down to half forward. Beautiful kick. Philippo with a mark. Outside hand pass on the boundary line. Wilson goes into the forward pocket. It slips off the ground past his target in Owens and over the line for the minor score. But good transition from St Kilda. And still only trail by 5 points as we go through 17 minutes of the opening quarter on ABC Sport.
I think at the moment it's just their efficiency, really, St Kilda, that's keeping in it. 4 inside 50s, 1 goal, 2. So when they have gone forward, they look like they are going to score.
Dangerous exit as well. Burgoyne was outnumbered. Ball hits the deck. Brad Hill gathers from 55. Eyes home. Massive roost. What a kick from Brad Hill. And that punishes Port Adelaide, who've had so many chances. But just like that, St Kilda hit the front. 2-2-14 to Port Adelaide's 1-7-13. Our second lead change of the night comes on the cusp of time on in the opening term. Friday night footy across the country on ABC Sport. Josh Money downstairs.
Yeah, a great boost for St Kilda. Ryan Marshall has emerged from the rooms and he's running on the ground as we speak. Understand it's a knee issue, but seems to be ready to at least give it a try.
Well, big return. They needed that. If they went down, it would have made it really difficult, although be it too inexperienced ruck. But Ryan Marshall, critical. Brad Hill, 240th game. Aaron, that's his 99th career goal.
And I guess the other thing as well, over the last 18 months, how many times have we seen Port Adelaide inaccurate in front of goals, which has hurt them?
Totally.
In the middle, ball goes towards Port into the square. Boak picks it up after an errant handball. He went and chased it. Inside 50, he goes with a kick. Howard brought it forward for St Kilda. Wanganeen Malera taking it away. Just a short pass holding up things. Eastern side, or the eastern pocket for Hill. He waits and now plays on, called his players across to that eastern side of the ground. Jones in the middle of the pack, thumped it forward. Drew with a hand pass to Butters. Inside forward 50, astray with his kick. The intercept there by Cordy. He was comfortable, holds on to the ball. Then good pass finds Bonner. Bonner low and hard to half forward. Membry with a bit of space. They're changing the angle of attack. They do it so well. Garcia took the ball, handed it off, got it back from Windhanger. Wide to Membry. They're just waxing and waning at the moment. Finally to Burns off his left foot inside 50. Dropped by Houston. Filippo, was he taken down in the back? Yes. Pal Pepper, over exuberant in the tackle, gives away the free kick.
So I think there's a balance when you want to play fast footy, and I can see what Port Adelaide are trying to do, but again, their enthusiasm. And Sam Powell-Pepper, we're critical of him in the past. He knows he can hit a physical contest, but he can do it in a manner that gives away too many frees, and deep in the defensive 50 is certainly not the area you want him to be doing it.
And then even the transition of St Kilda was superb. Then even looking ahead of the footy when the ball was in flow, Port Adelaide defenders scrambling.
So Matthias Filippo, product locally from Woodville West Torrens, and he punishes Port Adelaide with a beautiful left foot kick. St Kilda stretches a lead to 7 points. 3-2-20 plays 1-1-7. And we're in time on in the opening quarter at the Adelaide Oval on ABC Sport.
Well, he's all class, isn't he, too? Just playing footy, gets over his head, gets it in the right spot, takes it. And most times or not, you're going to win a contest.
Out of contract South Australian, Jamo.
Yeah, he is.
Crosstown rivals might be having a look tonight.
I know the family well.
Pick 10 in the 22 draft.
You've been in contact with the family.
Oh, I know the family well.
Might be getting called upon in the next few weeks, Jamo. St Kilda by 7. 3-2-20, 1-7-13 Port Adelaide. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Great to have you with us via ABC Radio and the ABC Listen app. In the middle, Marshall wins it down up against Sweet. Found Steele, his skipper. Caught in the rosy tackle, put it down, got a second chance. Drove his head straight into Houston. Ball up to come. Must be harvesting night out in WA. Brady on the text line says, just finished harvesting my 1-ton saltbush crop. He's out in milling. Sweet wins it down straight to Steele. Hacks a snap around the body straight to Lockie Jones for Port Adelaide. Wrapped up quickly by Wilson. Just gave it away to Houston and found Burgoyne, who kicks on the 45 to Sweet. He's just fumbled it in the air. Battle at the back now. Uses Sharman for St Kilda. To Filippo. Turns through the centre square. Gave it off. Tackle laid. Marshall missed his boot. No free kick, but Port Adelaide will race away anyway. Rosie into the centre square. Only found Steele. Got away from the tackle. Sweet to Butters. They'll settle things down on the broadcast wing through Bergman.
So Butters with the quick 15-metre pass, and now Bergman on centre wing, looked inside, couldn't find anybody, elected to go long to centre half forward from the back. Powell-Pepper couldn't take it. Away comes Hill with a hand pass forward to Steele for St Kilda. Then Wanganeen Miller up down to half forward with his kick. Was pretty good, and it was made to look like an excellent kick as 1 against 2 was Higgins and took the mark. 49 out from goal. Backs up. I doubt his distance from here. Surely he'll go for a pass.
Great kick. Wanganeen Miller to the advantage. He goes short.
Here's the pass. Too high for Membry. Was punched away from him. Showed too much to the defender, Houston. St Kilda with a couple of tackles. Finally, though, Jones breaks one. Gets it outside defensive 50. Todd Marshall with an opportunity to take the mark. Spilled it under pressure. Ross knocked it out. Wanganeen Miller then gave the hand pass away. Back to Hill. Ball on the ground again. Port Adelaide working hard. Drew finally finishes up with the ball, but not before the umpire says, give it to me. It's at right half forward for St Kilda on the eastern side of the Adelaide Oval.
Wanganeen Miller 9 disposals off the half-back line. Just as dangerous as we spoke about Houston and Farrell for Port Adelaide.
Saints by 7. Tumbling exit out of the stoppage for Port Adelaide through Butters and escorted over the boundary line by Callum Wilkie. Josh Money downstairs.
We've seen Marcus Windhager play a number of tagging roles in his young career. Looks like Zach Butters is his man tonight. He is watching the milestone man very closely.
Starting to find plenty of his own footy as well, Marcus Windhager. Toss back in. Sweet wins it down. Crumbed by Drew. Thrusts a handball over the top to Burgoyne. Tackled as he kicked towards half forward. Entangled Burn-Jones and Wanganeen Miller. Spills to the back. Wilkie head over the footy for the Saints. Hands it off to Howard. Gets back towards Wanganeen Miller. Dinks the kick through the centre square to Filippo. And now little 1-2 under a bit of pressure. Windhager gives it back to him. Spun in the tackle. Gave it away. Butters to Drew. Gets it wide to Burgoyne. Bit of time to settle at the defensive edge of the square. Closing was Marshall. Managed to get a handball forward to Sweet. Hooks it around the body through the outer wing. High towards Dixon. Rising over the top of Palpepper. Couldn't control it. Sinclair stayed down and gets the exit. Uses Cordy up to right half forward. Marshall Rose couldn't claim it. Hill's at the back though. Bursts away. Looks inside unselfishly and squared it to Higgins. Oh, he looks so good, Brad Hill. A 3-time premiership player, but this season at age 30 could be his best. He's found snags. 45 out. Slight angle to the right for the Saints.
What about the effort of Sinclair? 2v1. Dixon involved in the marking contest as well is outstanding.
Jack Higgins gets close to the man on the mark, and it affects his kick towards goal. Through for a minor score on the right-hand side. 3-3-21 the Saints. They're up by 8. Port Adelaide 1-7-13 as we close in on quarter time. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
It's like a boxing match too. I think Port Adelaide, it's almost they come out in the first round and want to just knock you out, don't they, too? And they go that hard and that flat out. They haven't been able to capitalise, and now they're just trying to grab their breath. But the Saints are coming back and are more efficient.
Houston plays on. Long kick towards centre wing on this broadcast side. Ball comes off the pack. Plenty in there. Umpire says holding the ball. And that was extraordinary. Against Garcia, there were so many players in there, but it's Boak who takes the free kick. Goes wide to Rosie. Back inboard he goes to Farrell. That's the man they want to use the ball, and that's why. He gets the ball and drives it to the other side of the ground. Flat kick to Zirk Thatcher. His kick was flat as well, and it was intercepted by Burns for St Kilda. Burns steps back, kicks long. Higgins does really well against Radaglia. Gets a hand pass inside. Windhager was there. Over the top from Garcia to Sharman. Caught in the tackle by Boak. The veteran does well. Play on advantage. They run it through the middle, through the hands. Another mistake, that time from Wines. Hand pass to Windhager. Windhager, though, turns it over as well under pressure. Finally, a little bit of exit room from Houston finds Burgoyne.
Stuck between the arcs at the moment. Can Port Adelaide finally break through? Down the outer wing, Sweet juggles it over the top of Sinclair, turns, rockets it into the 50. Dixon's his target. Wilkie rises above with the fist. Palpepper, though, gathers, snaps on the tight angle. He had options central and he selfishly burnt them. It's curling and missing. Minor score on the left-hand side. That takes us to quarter time. An accurate start from Port Adelaide. They can't cash in. St Kilda, in the last 3 games before tonight, have given up 15 goals to 2 in the opening term. Port Adelaide 1-8-14 at the first change. St Kilda leading 3-3-21. The goal scorers for the Saints, or all individual really across both teams, but for the Saints, Brad Hill, Mitch Owens and Mateus Philippou. For the Power, their skipper, Connor Rosie. It's great to have you with us on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app. This is Friday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Hi there, Lisa Miller here. Isn't it great to get outside for a breath of fresh air? It's one of life's simple pleasures, right? Well, I can help you to keep something else simple too. Finding news you can trust. You can stay in the know with ABC News. Download the app and receive alerts to your phone. Visit the ABC News website. And for stories straight to your inbox, subscribe to one of our newsletters. It's all the latest, all verified, all the time. Stay in the know with ABC News.
The 2024 Anzac Day Round.
On your radio.
Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Long exit from Port Adelaide. Off a couple of hands, Hill retreats back. Marshall gets it inside 50 for the Saints. Caminiti couldn't control it in the air. Owens dives in and is wrapped up in a tackle too high. Free kick going Mitch Owens' way. 35 out from goal, straight in front. And now Mitch Owens with the set shot and starting all the way back in the centre square. Crosses the paint of 50. Low and hard kick. That is straight as an arrow. And the Saints have the first goal on Friday Night Footy.
Bono playing his 7th game for St Kilda, his 100th overall. Inboard was a bad kick. Rosie off the pack goes long. And bang, there's the first goal for Port Adelaide.
Dangerous exit as well. Bergwijn was outnumbered. Ball hits the deck. Brad Hill gathers from 55. Eyes home. Massive roost. And that punishes Port Adelaide. They've had so many chances, but just like that, St Kilda hit the front.
So that says Filippo, product locally from Woodville West Torrens, and he punishes Port Adelaide with a beautiful left foot kick.
ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 Anzac Day Round.
3 lead changes in the opening quarter. St Kilda lead at the first change by 8. 3-3-21 to Port Adelaide's 1-8-14. Great to have your company for Friday Night Footy on ABC Sport. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross calling the action. Your experts, Adelaide Crows Premiership player Rod Jamieson, 3-time Showdown medalist Josh Franco. The text line if you want to get in touch, 0437 774 774. Josh has done just that. Says, hey team, I'm out tonight doing my night shift meat deliveries till 3 a.m. in my super fast car, listening on 774, loving every second.
Super fast car.
Don't go, well, he's given the brand name. We don't do brand
right,
name.
okay. But it looks super fast?
Take it easy, Josh. It could be a thrilling game, and hopefully that doesn't impact how fast you seem to be travelling.
Well, if he's super fast, he might not be a 3 a.m. finish, might be a bit earlier.
Jamo, Josh, break it all down for us. What do we see in that opening quarter?
Oh, again, I just, towards the end of that quarter, then I just felt Port Adelaide clearly weren't able to be efficient enough in front of goal, and they just tried to go for the big punch to knock out St Kilda, and they were able to rebound. St Kilda did struggle a little bit in defence to actually a couple of kicks inside where they actually put them, exposed themselves and allowed Port Adelaide to get it back. But just the quick movement of St Kilda, and on a couple of occasions, it's Jack Higgins has been able to win the football when he's been outmanned 2-1 or certainly through height. And a number of the Saints have been able to do it. Seb Ross has been able to do it. Wanganeen Miller, first quarter 10. Off the half-back line too, just his run and carry. He was outstanding in the first couple of rounds. And I mean, they've got it in them. They have got it in them. We know that. We did say that prior to the game. But, gee, I think from Ken's perspective, he'd want to be just saying, settle down, boys. We've got enough of the footy here.
Well, I think you summed it up superbly in that quarter, Jamo. You said it's a bit like a boxing match. Port Adelaide came out throwing haymakers. And in terms of the numbers, I guess the KPIs, which I continually bang on about, but it does give you a good indication of mindset. Tackles, contested possessions, ground ball gets, where Port Adelaide were poor last week, all in favour. So they're +8 contested ball, +3 ground balls and +12 tackles. So in terms of their mentality they're on, they missed opportunities in front of goal. And as we know, in the modern game, in any game, you're going to get swings in momentum. And St Kilda were able to wrestle back that momentum and able to be efficient going inside their forward 50. And they're in front by 7 points at quarter time. So I guess the thing that worries me a little bit about Port Adelaide is when they have those momentum swings, and you sense that up here in the commentary box, and no doubt the supporters at the ground could sense it as well, they continually like to play an aggressive brand of footy. And some of their kicks from half-back or even on the wing to the middle part of the ground, the corridor, directly in front of goal, sort of 50 metres out, that's turnover territory, and they've paid the price for that on a couple of occasions.
Quick shout-out to AFL Tables. That's Port Adelaide's least accurate first term in Port Power history. So the previous was 25% in terms of scoring shots, 3-9. They're at 12% in this opening term at 1-7. So And also concerning that they've had a few like this year. So against Richmond, they were 3-7 in the opening quarter. And yeah, we've seen consistently across their campaign they're hitting double digits in terms of behinds.
Well, the other thing it does as well, and you know, Jamie, you've obviously played a lot of footy, that if you keep missing, the next kick, the pressure builds. You miss, the next one even builds even more. And that's where Port Adelaide's at the moment. It's almost they get the bit of the heebie-jeebies when they're in front of goal and they miss goals that they should kick. And as we said, I guess poor kicking is poor footy and inaccurate kicking is poor footy, and they've paid the price for that, the Power.
And it does become deflating too. Yeah. Like the amount of work the rest of the ground is doing for you. You get it forward, you just go, come on, you blokes. And it does.
Nasai Wanganeen-Miller leading all comers with 10 touches for the Saints so far tonight. Jack Sinclair with 8. Zach Butters has 9 in game 100 for the Power. Travis Boak looks like very well rested back into the side and has 8 in the opening term, including 3 score involvements. It's the Saints by 8 points to start the second term. 3-21 to Port Adelaide's 1-8-14. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. As Marshall and Sweet do battle in the middle. Marshall will win it down straight to Steele. Looks to break away from Wines. Shrugged the tackle. Got a handball off to Windhager, who dummies his way through Butters. St Kilda inside 50, and it lands in the lap of Caminiti. Radigalia launched early, and Caminiti read the ball drop best. He's 40 out, straight in front.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steele was outstanding. Just his strong core was able to shrug that tackle and offload it to Windhager, who, I know you mentioned him pre-game, you really like him, and what I saw there, just composure with the foot. He didn't panic, sort of almost gave the cue that he was going to kick it long, was able to get around his direct opponent, and a terrific mark inside forward 50.
He's just such an accumulator of the footy, Windhager too, and Jack Steele, we know with the amount of football he plays, and leading by example.
Caminiti comes in for the hot start in the second term. It's starting left and not coming back. Minor score 3-4-22. The Saints lead Port Adelaide 1-8-14 in the opening minute of the second quarter. It's Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco with you for the call.
So Williams long with his kick in for Port Adelaide. Onto that eastern side. Ball off hands. Rioli tried to tap it forward. Sinclair tried to handball it forward. Both turning the ball over. It's come from Aaliyah out wide to Powell Pepper. He goes long and high towards half forward. Ball comes off, might have come off the leg. It did. No, the umpire said free kick to Todd Marshall. So Todd Marshall with a free kick outside 50s. Kick inside was pretty poor. Windhager got a hand on the ball. Slipped its way to Hill. Hand pass wide for Ross. Ross will be on his wrong leg. He wants to turn around and does so to get to his left side. Down the line he goes looking for Membry. Ball off hands. Houston inboard with a hand pass. Horn Francis with a great little step back and then a 15-metre kick finds Wines. 60 from goal.
The Brownlow medalist looking for options. He'll centre it up. 30 from goal. Was looking for Sweet. Edged out of it by Howard at the back. Burns. Hospital handball to Wilkie. Turns into the Burn-Jones tackle. Hits the deck. 35 out. We'll get a ball up. Attacking 50 for Port Adelaide. The northern end of the left-hand side of your radio dial. Down by 9 at the moment. Tossed up. Dixon won it down straight to Horn Francis. Darting, weaving, snaps. Had no idea where the goals were as he hooked it over his head, and it takes a bounce in front of the scoreboard and over the boundary line. It'll be tossed back into play. Shout out to Scott from Murray Bridge, who sent us a text saying 3 North Adelaide Premiership players out there tonight. Connor Rosie, Jordan Sweet and Callum Wilkie Crossy.
All from the same premiership in 2018. Ball off hands. Stocker from the ruck contest was good. Found Ross. He went backwards. Found another hand pass to Marshall for St Kilda. Long he goes. Owens almost took it. Had 2 grabs, then lost it. Under pressure. Hand pass inside for Butters under pressure. He went back to Aaliyah. Goes across the ground to Houston, who's had a great start to this game.
Saints pressure's good.
Houston forced to go long and wide. Brings it across to this broadcast side for Drew.
Set up well.
A lot of St Kilda, well, the St Kilda pattern, you can see ahead, defensive pattern. So he decides to go back into the square. Zirk Thatcher with the mark. Towards the back end of the square now. He's looking for target. Goes in short. Little lead up there for Houston. He's still, if you like, in the back half for Port Adelaide. Now he brings it to this broadcast side to Williams. Bit of space to move, gets it down to half forward. Drew, though, within 5 metres of the boundary line on this broadcast side at half forward.
Too slow.
Career best season for Drew so far as he loads up into the attacking 50. Everyone converges. Huge rise from Howard to try and stick a fist in and has landed flat on his back. That'll hurt. Owens gets the exit, though, at the back. Tumbling footy towards the boundary line. Trying to handball it back to himself is Caminetti. He's done very well flirting with the boundary line. Radaglia was on his tail, though, and he's given it away as he tried to regather. Radaglia up towards left half forward for the power. Pepper's outnumbered 3-1, and Wilkie rises above to take the intercept mark.
He's a good defender, isn't he?
That's a great catch from Wilkie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hasn't missed a game since being picked up as a result of his performance in that 2018 grand final for North Adelaide. So the ball's come forward off the pack after the long kick from Wilkie. Butters finds it, but inside 50s, kick astray, just a little too high off the left. Cordy with the intercept for the Saints. Takes his time, holds up. Comes this broadcast side. Caminetti made the contest. Steele at the front, took it well. Down the line he goes with the kick. Zerk Thatcher touched it under pressure. And too high was the pressure from Membry. Zerk Thatcher will take the free kick at half-back for Port Adelaide.
8-point lead to the Saints early in the second term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport, 3-4-22, plays 1-8-14. And Zerk Thatcher brings it in to Aaliyah. Looks a little concerned he's not getting many options down the line. Has to bang it through centre wing, and it lands straight in the lap of Willem Drew with the wobbler. Turns, spears it into the pocket. Little shallow for Marshall, can gather on the bounce. Had Wilkie on his tail. Paddled it towards Rioli, and Howard cuts it off and is driven into the deck. The former Eagle getting stuck into the former Power defender. We'll get a boundary throw in. 45 out, left forward pocket. Port Adelaide's attacking 50.
Little bloke. He's over the boundary.
Got stuck into him, didn't he? Tossed back in. Dixon wins it down. Busting through was Garcia for the Saints in his third game. Tried to get it out towards Marshall, left it behind. Scrubber of an exit from the Saints. Wines was nearly there, couldn't gather. Higgins just toes it towards the centre square. Port Adelaide have numbers. Aaliyah to Farrell. Looks wide. Scoreboard pocket. Target is Georgiades. Uses his body on Stocker and takes the mark, diving back low to ground. He's 48 out. 45-degree angle to the right.
Well, at the moment, the ball's being played in Port Adelaide's forward half, and there's 36 players in Port's front half of the ground, so they've got to find different avenues to goal. So the ball movement in Port Adelaide is quite methodical. They're going sort of switching and double switching and triple switching until that option opens up. And once again, we spoke about it pre-game. Get the ball in the hands of the best users. Farrell, Houston, and on that occasion, Farrell, outstanding, and a terrific contested mark from Georgiades.
Two behinds for the night from easier angles. Georgiades will wheel around closer to the boundary line and can't hook it through. Minor score on the right-hand side. So 3 for the night now for Mitch Georgiades and 9 for Port Adelaide. 1-9-15. St Kilda 3-4-22. 7 minutes into the second term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Dougal Howard receives the kick in.
So to your point, Josh, too, again, the Saints, just the way they set up, they're actually, Port have to go wide, and that has been a knock on a Port Adelaide in previous weeks. It's all right to stretch the ground and stretch the defence, but you're kicking goals, or you're trying to kick goals from really tough angles.
So as Howard short to Wanganeen Miller, and then Hill, he received a short pass, went back into the corridor, dangerous 3-on-1, it ended up. Burgoyne gave it off to Powell Pepper, and he hits a long one from about 45 on the turn. And Port has another goal, badly needed. It's only their second goal of the game. And Powell Pepper shows how to do it. Very similar at the other end from Kairosi to give them their first goal. So 2-9-21 for Port Adelaide. They trail by a point. 3-4-22 on the board for St Kilda after 7 minutes of the second term on ABC Radio.
Well, I reckon that's the third kick from St Kilda that they've tried to pierce off back through the middle when they're caught deep in their defence. And on that occasion, again, Port Adelaide were onto it quickly and able to cause the turnover. But that's what happens when the game is played in your front half. And at the moment in this quarter, it's 6-1 inside 50. So an indication of how much dominance of field position Port Adelaide have. But when you start to build the pressure, the St Kilda's defenders can't find an exit. So they look for one, they try to manufacture one, then they force it, turnover, goal against. Well played, Port Adelaide, and well read and intercepted by Powell Pepper.
1 point game, St Kilda in front. Friday night footy on ABC Sport as Marshall wins it down, but Sweet does the crumbing. Gives it to his skipper in Rosie. Hacks it up to half forward. Back with the flight. Powell Pepper couldn't bring it down. Boat caught in the Sinclair tackle and dropped it. Bonner can pounce. Kicks up towards the broadcast wing. Bouncing footy, he'll get there first. Houston one way, charging across Caminiti. Didn't pull out and won it for the Saints. Gets it to Wilson. Sends them inside 50. Aaliyah nearly took the slips catch. Ripped away late by Sharman. Steele falls over and gives it away. Sweet to Rosie. Overhead handball to Houston. Sandwiched. Left the footy behind. Radagalier now forcing his way out of a couple of tackles. Back to Sweet. Up and under towards left half back. Butters couldn't control it. Burns snaps back towards the 50. Aaliyah's popped back up and is all alone to take the intercept mark. St Kilda by a point. 3-4-22. Plays 2-9-21. 9 minutes into the second term on ABC Sport.
And 15 more disposals in this quarter to Port Adelaide, but the pressure is still there from the Saints.
Port Adelaide try to go back and around and out the other side. Burgoyne's kick, though, after he received it from Radagalier, wasn't a great choice. It was a 2-on-1 effectively. Ball knocked over the boundary line.
How's this on the text line? Caden is listening to the call in India and says, I feel if Port Adelaide win this tonight, they can win the flag. St Kilda is the new measuring stick.
What time is it in India?
I'll check for you.
5 hours time difference, I believe.
Oh, Crossy. Are you serious?
I'm serious.
It's close. It's 4.
It's 4 hours, okay. I was daylight saving time. Sorry about that. But one of the very few countries that work on the half hour like Adelaide does. Or one of the, few places in the world.
We've got to get you out more.
Ball on the centre wing. Ball on centre wing, meanwhile, hasn't gone anywhere. It was Burgoyne tackled the ground. We'll get a ball up. It's between half forward and centre wing for the Saints. In fact, Port Adelaide get the ball forward down to that scoreboard end. Inside 50. Well, that looked like a high tackle. The umpire said, no, you lowered your head.
Well, it's got to be high, though, doesn't it, if you lower your head?
Stocker was the man who was taken. He said he was driving his head into his opposition player. So umpire calls for the ball to be thrown up, and that's what they do. The Saints come away from the stoppage.
Marshall got it down to Bonner. Kick towards the defensive edge of the square. Wilson was shoved over by Farrell. He used his body, but the momentum certainly bowled over the youngster, and the free kick goes the Saints' way. He'll kick it to Battle. Right half back, call to play on, and Bergman will close quick. Rushes the kick up through the broadcast wing. Aaliyah front position, almost spoilt away by Radagalier. Could have taken the mark. Sharman looks to gather, falls into the footy with Drew behind him. And caught in the meat sandwich. Philippo will hand the footy back to the umpire.
It was 3-on-1 there too. Memory actually almost took the mark and just couldn't get it out to a couple of the Saints on the outside.
Thought to Rod Jamieson, Josh Franco, your experts tonight. The Saints by 1, and out of the stoppage they'll get the exit. Owens over the top to Steele. Hacks it into the 50, 2-on-2 awaits. Lockie Jones did very well from behind. Brought it down, grabbed the footy, and hits Willem Drew at left half-back.
I don't know, hits is the right word. The ball was sat up and Drew stood under it bravely. Windhager came late, couldn't get it away from him. Drew's short kick was dangerous, very dangerous. Rosie's found it. His hand passed loose. Coming through was Battle. He couldn't handle it. Now Windhager inboard with a good hand pass to Hill. His hand pass towards Caminiti wasn't fantastic. Knocked it forward. Zerk Thatcher picked it up. Outside of the boot, went to a 3-on-1 in favour of Port Adelaide, and Butters came down with the ball. Slips the ball inside to his running mate and Rosie. Rosie, long, direct, diagonal pass. Couldn't make it. Wilson picked it off. Now it's come to Howard. High off the outside of his boot to half forward. Farrell went back, knocked it in the air. Outmanned by the Saints players again. Ball wide towards Wilson. Just inside the boundary line. Farrell threw him down. Umpire said, no, you twisted and threw him down. Free kick Saints.
He's lucky Wilson's popped back up because that was a heavy tackle over the boundary line.
Yeah,
that's silly. They'll be looking at that one, that's for sure. Wilson opens the angle at left half forward and launches it to the top of the goal square. Sharman got a run but was edged late. Hits the deck. Bergman tried to gather. Bobbled it towards Houston. Kick smothered though. Battle got in there. Ricochets towards the goal square. Handball came out. Caminiti to Owens. Quick kick towards the goal line. Rosie back with the flight. Should have taken the uncontested mark. Spills it and it rolls through for a minor score on the left-hand side. St Kilda moved to 3-5-23. Port Adelaide 2-9-21. So the 2-point lead to the visitors. The 13-minute mark of the second term.
Still amazes me with how much publicity there is around those sling tackles. The players still do it, even on that occasion, just completely unnecessary.
I think sometimes too, when you look at the players, they almost contributed a little bit to overplay it. So whilst it did look bad,
that's fair.
I thought that maybe Wilson maybe contributed to a little bit there too. So 50-metre penalty to Port Adelaide.
They got it down towards the wing, and Wines took the mark, and Higgins came through to tackle him, well, to hold him up anyway after he completed the mark, or his battle, in fact, Josh Battle. So that was the resulting 50 for coming into a contest that he wasn't involved in. And Wines now with the man on the mark standing 45 from goal. Not beyond him is this shot. In comes Wines, arcs out to his right, thumps it long, it's away to the right, and it's going to be short too. He didn't get enough of it. Ball comes to the ground in that scoreboard pocket. Burn-Jones just handed it off to Georgiades, couldn't handle it, goes back and gets it again, taken in a tackle. The crowd thought it was high. Georgiades threw his head back and the umpire said no way, ball up.
Good call there from Lee Howson. He milked that one.
Freeze 8-6 in favour of Port.
Tossed up, Marshall won it down. Horn Francis though barging through, brushes off Ross, snaps around the body, squaring kick. Bergman launches, trying to fist it towards the goal line. Only found Cordy. Handball a little long though for Wanganeen Miller. Left it behind. Burn-Jones tries to snap towards goal. Caught the belly of the footy. It'll work. Popped up and Dixon charging forward. Clunks it. He's 30 out. Straight in front.
Actually, Saints did it so well then too. Wanganeen Miller, it was out over the top. The bounce, he couldn't take it clean. Port Adelaide were able to get a rush kick in. Darcy Burn-Jones, and I don't think there was too many of the Saints blokes lining up to get in the way of Charlie Dixon.
Dixon starts at centre half forward. He'll kick from 40, leaning back. Big Charlie's back. His first of the night. Wrenches back the lead for Port Adelaide. 3-9-27 to St Kilda's 3-5-23. Our fourth lead change of the night. The 15-minute mark of the second term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Premiership Crow Rod Jamieson, All-Australian midfielder Josh Franco.
And Jamo, as silly as it sounds, that was a really important kick in the context of the game and in terms of the way that Port Adelaide have butchered the ball in front of goal. So Dixon goes back, must finish, must convert and kick a major, and he does. Just to settle the nerves, because that pressure was building in terms of their inaccuracy in front of goals, as it has plagued them over the last season and a half. But to go back and nail it in a timely fashion.
Well, I think Ross Lyon would be really disappointed with both of those occasions, because Sam Pepper got that from a turnover or a fumble from the Saints, as they did that on that occasion when they were out.
Saints had the best of the centre bounce in taking it forward, but it was held up.
Interesting too, Crossy. Dixon took the centre bounce. Now Ollie Wines is in the ruck against Marshall.
It's interesting. If you're going to risk Dixon, surely it'd be better around the ground rather than running into a centre bounce. Saints get it clear towards Wilson. He's ahead of centre wing and jostled off it by Bergman. Gave it back to Farrell. He's just taken in a tackle as he kicked it down the ground. Bonner, non-preferred right foot, inside forward 50. Aaliyah dropped the ball. Went after it, picked it up again, tried to get a kick away. Umpire said, was that a twist and a dangerous tackle as well? Aaliyah has stayed down, Higgins responsible, and it was ruled to be a dangerous dumping tackle.
This is where they've got to be careful here too, because if he stays down for a period of time, let's have a look on the replay.
There's no doubt about it being a dumping tackle. He had hold of one arm and slung him into the ground. So Aaliyah did have a free arm, but that definitely will be looked at in the match review. Aaliyah's up and he's got his free kick, and he comes to this broadcast side of the ground, and Charlie Dixon got to the front, came off the hands. Rosie picked it up, dumped it long. Saints have numbers back there. Georgiades went to ground. He's going to kick a goal now. His opponent, Howard, just turned it over, and Georgiades runs into open goal. Mistakes are costly, and that was a big one. Port Adelaide back in front. 4-9-33. St Kilda 3-5-23. So they put a bit of a gap in it in what a game that has been so close. 10 points the margin at the 18-minute mark of the quarter.
Might go to Josh Money on the boundary. He's closer than we are. Lear's just coming off, Josh.
Yeah, that's right. He is in the hands of Dr. Fisher. Jammer, who, of course, famously incorrectly cleared Lear to return during the showdown late last year. So Paul will not want to get this one wrong, I dare say. So Lear likely now to have that full concussion test.
What I will say about the Higgins one, though, I reckon in fairness to him, I reckon that's a tough one.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Farrell one we saw 3 or 4 minutes ago.
The ball and lost his balance.
Yeah.
Well, he's got him by one hand and by the body, so when he actually drags to pull him down, he's actually doesn't have his other hand. He's got one hand on the ball, and he didn't have his other hand to actually soften the blow or soften the hit on the ground.
Port by 10. Marshall won it down straight to Rosie, though. Around the body up towards half forward. Howard underneath it. Lost it in the last moment. Put it down. Port Adelaide looking to swarm now. Bergman got it off to Rosie, then Houston on the 45. Spots Burn-Jones at right half forward.
Looks threatening now, the power. Really important 6 minutes here for St Kilda.
Close to the boundary line. Arcs around Bonner. Centering kick. Dixon the target. Didn't launch. Sinclair got a fist in. Marshall tried to handball out. Missed Cordy. A couple of players slide in. Umpire waits. Horn Francis at the bottom of it all. And will be pinged. Holding the ball. Free kick to Jack Sinclair. And 50.
Oh, Jason Horn-Francis, I think, has had a little bit to say to the umpire.
Loves a free against the Hornet.
Handball.
Lear headed down to the rooms meanwhile.
Oh, catch that.
Shank of a kick from Sinclair up towards half forward. Bounced straight towards Farrell, who's caught high by Sharman. Port Adelaide get the footy back and are now countering through the spine.
Looking to move it to Wines, to Rosie. He was under the ball and he got away brilliantly. Inside 50 with his kick. Howard again. This time it was the master who brought it to the front of the pack. Sinclair took it away off the Rowan Marshall. Just pulled his kick out wide for Bonner. Called the play on. Just drops it over the top for Hill. So on the eastern side at half back for St Kilda. Hill tries for Filippo. Filippo comes and takes it. Oh, he slipped out of hand pass brilliantly. Wilson takes off, kick smothered, and picks up the ricochet. Gets it all the way to half forward. Inside half forward, huge push. Surely that is not a mark. Burgoyne was pushed out of the way by Caminiti, who claimed the mark, and the umpire said, nothing wrong with that. Oh, both hands in the back. That's not going to make the Port fans happy.
Well, they've just seen it on the replay, Crossy, and no, you're right, they're not happy. And in fairness to Burgoyne, the free kick was there. That was just a blatant push in the back.
Caminiti back all the way outside 50, 45-degree angle. Port fans expressing their displeasure. In comes Caminiti. He just kicks the goal. Stops all that by kicking the goal for St Kilda. And it's back to a 4-point game. It's Port Adelaide 4-9-33. St Kilda 4-5-29. We're into time on in the second term. Your experts on ABC Sport, Josh Franco and Rod Jamieson.
Well, just the ability to move it quickly again. The fumble, they were able to recover and be able to get it over the back, which is getting it to a dangerous position. You called it, could have gone either way, and in the end, the goal's been paid. But when the Saints go, which I don't think they're accustomed to move the football as quickly as what they have done a couple of times tonight, they've clearly shown this year that they can stay within games. Last year was the anomaly. You go back the last 2 years, the games have been close. Like last year's game, 7 points they actually lost by. And then the year before that, it was 1 point, and that was in Cairns. I think that was in the really wet conditions.
Port by 4 in the middle. Butters in game 100 thrusts the handball in front of Rosie. Gathers cleanly on the bounce. Slick handball off to Bergman. Waiting on the outer wing and plenty of time to think about his entry. Darts it in. A little bit too hot in the end for Boak. Slipped through his hands. Wanganeen Miller at the back for the Saints. Uses Sinclair. Pushed as he kicked. Bounces straight to Filippo. Now Bonner finds Membry sliding in low to ground in front of the Max Bashir stand. He wheels through centre wing. Sends St Kilda up to left half forward. Caminiti stuck an ear in the back of Jones. Couldn't reel in the mark. And off hands it rolls out over the boundary line in the front of the Foss-Williams stand. Jay from Ringwood on the text line says it's pretty obvious who's going to win tonight. Only one of these teams could match it with the Essendon edge. A bit cheeky one there from Jay. And I'll counteract it by saying only one of these teams could match it with the reigning premiers, Jay. That's the visitors.
Cool. Only one win for St Kilda at this ground. They're down 6-1 against Port Adelaide. Burns inside 50 with his kick. Caminiti took it. That time the umpire spotted a free kick. He beat Jones, put him to the ground. The umpire said no. Free kick to Lockie Jones for Port Adelaide.
I like his competitiveness too. I know in the early stages, I think he reacted against Collingwood, I think it was too. He got suspended either last year. So he's got the right stuff in him and he presents well.
Not sure that was a free kick either, but anyway.
I thought the same, Cross. He wasn't much in it at all.
So short to Farrell, then Farrell goes across the goals to this broadcast side of the ground to Zirk Thatcher, drops it short. Burgoyne was taken high as he took the mark. Umpire says, yep, take your free kick just outside defensive 50.
Burgoyne in the famous number 7. Worn by his dad, sends it through centre wing. Wilkie was there, tangled with Marshall, brought it to ground. Palpepper bouncing off a couple of bodies. Bonner caught a stray elbow there from Rioli. Flinched and they would put Adelaide to get onto the footy, but we'll run out of room quickly. Williams wrapped up in the tackle. We'll get a ball up. Nearly true centre wing, bang in front of us on the broadcast side, in front of the benches. It is the Power by 4. Sweet trying to wrestle it out of the ruck. Left it late. Drew got a toe to it and it rolls back towards the boundary line to be tossed back into play. Shout out to Kylie from Daysdale on 0437 774 774 who says, hi team, enjoying the call. And Shane from Currans Hill says, loving the call. You always give a great mental image of what's going on. Higgins and Marshall need to goal for me. None of them so far for you. Sorry, Shane. Toss back into play out of the stoppage. Chain of handballs for the Power. One's up with Drew. Looked for Houston inside. Only found Sinclair. The volley out of the air. Bounces its way through the 50. Clears the pack. Owens can gather. 5 out. Snap. Magnificent. Jack Sinclair burst onto the footy and forced that all the way through. Owens has his second of the night. And St Kilda back in front. 5-5-35 to Port Adelaide's 4-9-33. Time on in the second term. It's Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Jack Sinclair's composure too, I think, is just contributes so much off the half-back line, running through under pressure through the middle of the ground. The stray handball from Port Adelaide and didn't take it, but just kept it alive, which the footy goes forward into an open forward line, and the speed in which Owen was able to get there.
Well, it's interesting. You talk about the stray handball. That long loopy handball back into the corridor. It didn't hit its target, was bobbling around, and St Kilda were first on that loose footy. So, again, aggressive play from Port Adelaide. They paid the price for it.
Mitch Owen's second goal.
Close to half-time now. 2-point lead for the Saints. Marshall goes against Sweet. Rowan Marshall goes against Sweet. St Kilda brings it away through Burns and robbed by Wines. Smuggled it forward to Drew, inside half forward with his kick for Port Adelaide. Bonner picks it up and just hacks the ball out of there off his left foot. Ball comes to ground. Higgins with a slick hand pass straight away to Burns. Down the line he goes. Jones, he was pushed off the ball. And the umpire said that's a free kick. Owens interfered in the marking contest. Quickly, Jones moves it to Houston, who says, yes, I'll go the barrel, send it 60. Almost pulled down by Rioli. Now he's got her on the ground. Dummies around one. Steps around a second. Snaps the goal. Oh, the hell, when they go, Port Adelaide. That was something special. And Port Adelaide grabs back the lead. 5-9-39. St Kilda 5-5-35. 27 minutes into the second term, close to half-time on ABC Sport.
Jamo, you wind the clock back 10, 15, 20 years. You kicked a barrel like Houston just did then. You probably get dragged and sat on the bench and copped a spray from the coach, but it went probably 70 metres, and Rioli, just looking at the replay, his ability to just dodge and weave and have composure with ball in hand was special to watch. Unbelievable play there from Port Adelaide.
Well, it's almost what the doctor ordered, really, for Port Adelaide, wasn't it, too? They were just fiddling around with it. The defence of the St Kilda's been tremendous, and we spoke about how quickly the Saints have been moving the football and get it over the back. And Dan Houston, that is a bomb.
Sixth lead change of the night. Port Adelaide up in the middle. Garcia tried to barge out of the stoppage and is wrapped up by Wines. We'll get a ball up. So 5-9-39 plays 5-5-35.
The irony of it, too, and as Malcolm Blight used to say, if you could kick them and they work like that, you just kick them all night.
Get the territory.
And if it stopped, just put it away and practice it, bring it out next week.
Sweet down looking for Butters. Fell into the footy. Garcia wraps him up. Umpire circles and says, we'll get a ball up in the centre circle.
There's nothing better once you nail one too and you can feel it. Just
Sweet down, but only found Steele. Around the body, he kicks up towards half forward. Bounced a little wide of Lockie Jones, but Williams read it best at the back. Gets the exit for Port. His kick a little wide though. Takes a bounce and over the boundary line as he tried to hit Burgoyne. It'll be tossed back into play right half forward for the Saints. Cracking contest for Friday night footy.
Under 1 minute remaining, just outside the forward 50 for the Saints. They could do with one to go in at half time.
Rowan Marshall just knocks the ball forward. Farrell coming the other way, breaker tackle. Ran one bounce down to half forward. Long kick. Dixon going back, took the mark. Backing back into the unknown, put the arms up and took the mark. So 35 out on not too bad of an angle. Very close to half-time siren. Charlie Dixon will have a look at the goals.
Well, it's the two players you called out, Josh, that have got it on the wing and this their booming kicks to get it into their deep forward 50.
Dixon starts it right, is coming back. You can tell the building crowd noise was going to tell the story. Big Charlie Dixon has 2 for the evening, and Port Adelaide is back with that 10-point lead. 6-9-45 plays 5-5-35 on ABC Sport.
Well, it's interesting too, Joe, even working in the school system and coaching school kids, everyone wants to play in the midfield. But if I was going to get reincarnated, I want to come back as a loose, non-defending, running halfback.
Floating halfback.
Absolutely. I want to be Houston or Farrell. And again, on that occasion, I say that obviously tongue-in-cheek, his ability to drive his legs through the scramble and just back himself and use the ball. And there's such penetrating kicks, those two, that they set up so many forward entries for Port Adelaide and create so many scoring opportunities. Really hard to defend against.
Paul Roos has got a lot to answer for.
That was All-Australian midfielder Josh Franco, who wants to be an All-Australian halfback. Out of the middle, Ryan Burns gets the clearance for St Kilda. Just hacked it off a couple of steps under pressure and only found Georgiadis. And that'll take us to half-time. An equal game-high margin of just 10 points at the major break. Port Adelaide in front, 6-9-45 to 5-5-35. The goal scorers for the home side. Dixon has 2 singles to Georgiadis, Rioli, Powell-Pepper and Rosie. Meanwhile, for the Saints, 2 to Owens, singles to Hill, Filippo and Caminiti. It's a cracking contest for Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Great to have you with us for it. Another half coming your way, so don't go anywhere. The text line 0437 774 774 if you'd like to get in touch. In the meantime, Rod Jamieson, Josh Franco, what did we learn about these two sides in the opening half?
Well, they just got their tails up, Port Adelaide too, and it only was probably 10 minutes of football where they were able to turn it on, and they go inside and they kick 5-goal-1, very different to their first quarter, 1-goal-8. The Saints could only manage 2-goal-2, but clearance work on top, centre clearances, the stoppage clearances, the contested possession and the uncontested, all the areas where they struggled last week against Collingwood, Josh, and now starting to come to fruition and go Port's way, particularly late in that second quarter.
Absolutely, and if you looked at the way the games unfolded, it was all Port Adelaide early in that first quarter. They couldn't capitalise on the scoreboard, and to St Kilda's credit, they went forward, they were efficient, they were able to hit the scoreboard, and if you looked at the way the second quarter unfolded as well, Port Adelaide looked threatened to blow the game apart. I think I might have even mentioned it was a really important 6-minute period for St Kilda late in that second quarter as the lead into half-time, and to go in at half-time only 10 points down to Port Adelaide on their home deck when a lot of the KPIs, as you just mentioned, are well in favour of the home team. And you talk about the tackle count. This would be a concern for Ross Lyon. He's so defensively minded, but at the moment they're minus 20 tackles at half-time, so that would be a concern. The contested possessions, they're minus 10 as well, St Kilda. So to be 10 points down going into the main break with plenty of room for improvement, I reckon Rossi Lyon and the St Kilda coaching staff would be reasonably happy with where they're situated. I guess on the other hand, Port Adelaide missed opportunities, but still playing a reasonable brand of footy.
Their back line is where they're winning the football at the moment, the Saints. So Wanganui Miller has got the 14, Sinclair the 13, and then Bonner 12. So Wilson up 4 with the 11. Winhagen in the middle is with 10, and Jack Steele's got the 8. So a lot of their midfielders, Philippou has only got the 7, so they're not getting enough of the football around that. They tend to be have to be reactive, and they've got to be able to shut Port Adelaide down. They look more dangerous coming through the middle. They throw it around, and then, of course, we speak about Houston, Rosie, Farrell, Drew, these guys, Bergman coming off the back line with these big booming kicks to get it in forward. I thought they were able to manage Port Adelaide for most of that first half, but just that 10 minutes late and the opportunities. Those, I think there were 3 goals that came off the back of St Kilda not taking it cleanly or fumbling in the back half, which enabled Port Adelaide to kick 3 goals.
Just on what you were talking about, Josh, the pressure factor that's gone down, some measure of whatever pressure is, but the pressure factor for St Kilda's gone down the last couple of weeks. They've had the second fewest around the ground stoppages, so they're letting sides get away from them and run, and obviously Port Adelaide wants to do that, so the interest in the second half is, can they make more tackles? Can they hold up Port Adelaide?
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on too, Crossy. And sometimes opposition don't allow you to tackle. Some sides like to maintain the ball by kick mark and deny the opposition the chance to apply pressure to the opposition. But you're right, Port Adelaide, they do give you that opportunity. But as we said, what are they, minus 20 tackles at half-time? That would be a concern for Ross Lyon. But I think also, too, if you looked at the positive side of that as well, they'd be thinking if we can tidy that up and keep applying pressure to Port Adelaide, cause the turnovers, then it holds us in good stead to be able to capitalise going inside 50.
Statistically, St Kilda, for the fans out there of the Saints, they kick 61% of their score in the second half.
Yeah.
So they're weighted towards scoring.
Things are looking up too. But yeah, I think, sometimes the opposition will let you go and give up the contested, but as long as they win the uncontested. Yeah. But at the moment, both Port Adelaide are winning by plus 11, as you highlighted, Sue, and plus 16. So in and around the football, then outside they're doing it and they're tackling and they're ferocious at it. Plus 22, as you highlight. The clearance work just on top too, and free kicks. So Saints giving away. So just an indication that they're really at it. But, yeah, right, to your point, though, Crossy, and who's to doubt you with all the homework you do, I would have thought the Saints are a big chance in the second half.
I didn't quite get the time zone right for India. I'd forgotten that they've moved back to 4 hours, not 5. Anyway.
But probably the concern for Port Adelaide too, which clearly is going to assist Port Adelaide, Saints, is Aliir. What's going to happen after the 10 or 15 minutes of the concussion test, and whether he actually comes back on, and going into half-time, he's still his name here in the blue.
Quick one there. Jack Higgins, the offender. I'm pretty confident we're not going to see him for at least a fortnight. What do you think?
Potential to cause injury?
Oh, look, but it's not... See, this is where the rules change, though, now, too. It's the intent initially. So what were you trying to do? I was trying to tackle him. I wasn't trying to hip and shoulder him or maim him or hurt him. But he's actually gone to ground. I think, again, he'll be stiff in terms of he's taken one arm, he's taken the body, he's gone down with momentum. But unfortunately, Aliir had the ball in one arm, and his other arm was being held. But intent's almost
gone out the window now. We saw that with the Barrett's tackle on
they've changed
Michael
the rule. No, they've changed the rule, Aaron. The intent is very much the forefront. So what was your intent to do? It's not the outcome. It's now both.
I feel like it's a duty of care thing that if you elect to tackle and end up dumping a player, I think regardless of how much you've tried to control them, as we kind of saw with the Charlie Cameron one, that was almost this lift and linger and then fall. I think if you dump them at the end of the day and they land on their head, you're gone.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, we called the Farrell one as well. See, if you look at them in isolation, I reckon the Farrell one's more dangerous than the Higgins, even though the outcome is different.
Totally.
Because of the intensity?
Well, and I think Higgins' one was in the real heat of the battle. At that split second, he grabbed him momentum. I mean, I'd like to see another replay of it, but I wouldn't have even known. He only knew that he had one arm pinned and one arm wasn't, and all that happens so quickly. Whereas, again, you go back to the Farrell one where he's totally in control of his actions and decides to dump. So I say
the boundary.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, if Higgins, which he probably will get games for it based on what we've seen this year, but I really feel for the player in that example.
Yeah. Well, this is the frustrating part of the modern interpretation, which I get the AFL is trying to do to protect itself from potential future lawsuits. Concussion is at the forefront right now, but it's a split-second issue. When you're a player out there on the field, as Jack Higgins would have been, trying to bring a lead to the ground, a guy who's twice your size, he probably hasn't intended to dump him the way that he has, like Kane Farrell certainly did to Darcy Wilson, but he probably will cop more because Aliir could be concussed.
Well, the problem is, the tackle was good. The art of the tackle, he couldn't dispose of the football. And if he tried to, it would have been incorrect disposal, but he could have been then in terms of holding the ball. But he actually maimed him, and through momentum of Aliir, who's, you don't see the weights anymore on the sheets, but certainly he's twice the size, and he was able to just hold on to him and drag him down, and he's gone forward and hit his head. I think he's going to get I think he'll get a game, but I think he's got a case to answer that everything we just spoke about. I think the tackle was correct.
Yeah, it all depends on the impact, and we'll find that out after half-time, won't we? When Aliir returns from the rooms after his concussion test.
It contributes to it, but it used to be the outcome. It's now the intent and the outcome.
It's a mess. It confuses me week to week. And now we've got the good guy rule as well, just to throw in that on top.
But I reckon the other thing as well, which we lose context of, and we lose sight of, is that coaches are trying to amp these players up to go out. And we talk about mentality a lot, when we talk about sides that are on or are they not. And coaches do try to amp them up, as they have for 100 years. So the players are trying to hit close and impact and play a physical brand of footy, which you have to, which the game demands of you. But then you put yourself in positions like Higgins, which is really tough. And really tough. And in the end, if he gets a game, I'd really feel for him, because I reckon that's an example of that's just in the heat of the game. Whereas as I said, the Farrell one, even the Charlie Cameron one last week or the week before, there was intent there, I think, but not with Higgins.
And the teams work so hard on their technique for this very reason, because you just can't tackle and get rubbed out for a game or two. So the technique is a high priority of all the clubs.
Thoughts of Premiership player Rod Jamieson, All-Australian midfielder Josh Franco. We'll pause here at the Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide up by 10 at the major break, 6-9-45 to St Kilda's 5-5-35. To Malcolm, to Shane and the Briscoe brothers. We'll get to your texts in a moment's time on 0437 774 774, and we'll give you some scores from around the country as well in the other codes. But for now, on Friday Night Footy on ABC Sport, it's time to take the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Glenn Lauder. Hundreds of people have gathered at the first of many planned rallies this weekend, calling on the federal government to declare violence against women a national emergency. Ballarat in Victoria and Newcastle in New South Wales have both hosted gatherings in response to the 26 women who've allegedly been killed by men in Australia this year. Attending the Ballarat event, Heather says women have done their part in addressing gender-based violence.
More men need to come to rallies like this, because it's men that have got to lead the change. Women have been trying to do it for years and it hasn't worked. It actually needs the men. The men are the ones that have to change their behaviour. We've tried changing ours and it hasn't worked.
There are warnings that some vulnerable children are being targeted by adults online during radicalisation processes. 6 teenage boys have now been charged with several terrorism offences following 13 raids in Sydney's southwest in response to the stabbing of a bishop inside a church in Sydney's southwest last week. Police allege that it's uncovered a network of extremist youth, and the National Children's Commissioner Anne Hollins says some young people have complex issues that might be exploited.
We know that many of them are being targeted by groups of adults who are seeking to recruit them into these extreme ideologies. The numbers are very small, of course. In Australia, not many children have been picked up with these sorts of issues.
A man who was falsely accused of being the knifeman who killed 6 people at the Bondi Junction Westfield has settled his defamation claim against 7. The network has apologised after naming university student Benjamin Cohen as the alleged attacker, saying the mistake was human error. Mr. Cohen says users who abuse a platform to target individuals or communities should be held accountable for the consequences of their actions, and that platforms should be more accountable for the content that they host. The terms of the settlement are confidential. Meanwhile, the family of murdered Bondi Junction security guard Faraz Tahir say their brother was the bravest person they knew. Mr. Tahir was one of 6 people killed during the stabbing attack at Bondi Junction 2 weeks ago. He rushed to see what was happening when he heard screaming and attempted to take the knife-wielding man down. At the 30-year-old's funeral service in northwestern Sydney, his brother, who's travelled from Pakistan, Shiraz Tahir, says his brother always lived his life helping others.
He was very brave. He was very brave. We couldn't imagine, but he was very brave and he was strongest person in our family, obviously, and now in Australia, he was the strongest person and he was the bravest person I've ever seen.
A baby rescued from her dying mother's womb after an Israeli airstrike in southern Gaza has died. Sabrine Al-Sakani was delivered by caesarean section in a Rafah hospital and was the only survivor from her family following an attack on the housing complex where they lived. The BBC's reporting she's now died and has been buried next to her mother, making her the 16th child killed as a result of the Israeli strike. The Israel Defense Forces says that they were targeting Hamas fighters and infrastructure. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken's met with the Chinese President Xi Jinping during a visit to Beijing. Here's East Asia correspondent Kathleen Calderwood.
Antony Blinken's visit comes on the back of several developments which have rankled Beijing. Earlier this week, the US passed a bill which would force the sale of the Chinese social media app TikTok or see it banned in America, as well as a military aid package for Ukraine, Israel and Taiwan. Secretary Blinken met with China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi for more than 5 hours this morning before meeting the president this afternoon in the Great Hall of the People. Chinese state media reports that Xi Jinping said the two countries should be partners, not rivals, and that China is happy to see the US thrive and hopes it can also look at China's development in a positive light.
And 2 more pilot whales, including a young calf, have died following a mass stranding event in WA's southwest. Here's Tabarak Al-Drood.
The pilot whale calf was spotted swimming alone near the shore at Eagle Bay this morning after becoming separated from its mother. After no signs of it returning to its pod, authorities were forced to euthanize the animal. A second whale was found dead near Quindalup Beach. The animals are believed to have been part of a pod of whales which beached themselves at Toby Inlet near Dunsborough yesterday. Almost 30 whales died while the rest of the pod were moved back out to sea and are now being monitored by authorities.
And you've been listening to the latest from ABC News.
Time to steady and pull the trigger!
Tackle your week with the ABC AFL Daily Podcast. Join myself, Catherine Murphy, AFL legend Paul Roos and expert panellists every day to get the latest news, game analysis and insights straight from the field.
The way the rules are now, you're not allowed to brace yourself and hit someone in the head in a marking contest.
Tune in to stay ahead of the game and get your daily dose of footy fever. Find the ABC AFL Daily Podcast on the ABC Listen app.
The 2024 Anzac Day Round.
On your radio,
Sport Digital.
and on the ABC Listen app.
Handball a little long though for Wanganeen Miller. Left it behind. Burn-Jones tries to snap towards goal. Caught the belly of the footy. It'll work. Popped up and Dixon charging forward. Clunks it. Dixon starts at centre half forward. He'll kick from 40. Leaning back. Big Charlie's back.
Rosie picked it up, dumped it long. Saints had numbers back there. Georgiades went to ground. He's going to kick a goal now. His opponent, Howard, just turned it over. And Georgiades runs into open goal. Wilson takes off, kicks smothered, and picks up the ricochet. Gets it all the way to half forward. Inside half forward, huge push. Surely that is not a mark. Burgoyne was pushed out of the way by Caminiti, who claimed the mark, and the umpire said, nothing wrong with that. Port fans expressing their displeasure. In comes Caminiti. He just kicks the goal. And it's back to a 4-point game.
Toss back into play out of the stoppage. Chain of handballs for the Power. One's up with Drew. Looked for Houston inside. Only found Sinclair. The volley out of the air. Bounces its way through the 50. Clears the pack. Owens can gather. 5 out. Snap. Magnificent.
Jones moves it to Houston, who says, I'll go the barrel. Send it 60. Almost pulled down by Rioli. Now he's got her on the ground. Dummies around one. Steps around the second. Snaps the goal.
The 2024 Anzac Day Round.
On your radio,
Sport Digital.
and on the ABC Listen app.
Seesawing affair under the Friday night lights in Adelaide. Great to have you with us on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app. It is Port Adelaide up by 10 at the major break. 6-9-45 to St Kilda's 5-5-35. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross calling the action. Their experts, Adelaide Crows Premiership player Rod Jamieson, 3-time Showdown medalist Josh Franco, and Josh Money is downstairs. There's a lot happening. If you are just joining us, besides the 6 lead changes that have occurred, there's going to be a couple of suspensions incoming. Kane Farrell with a dumping tackle on Darcy Wilson. But the more egregious one, we believe, will be Jack Higgins' tackle on Aliir that has sent the Power defender into the rooms for a concussion test. I'm just watching the Power warm up now, and I cannot see him out there. And Jackson Mead has got the top off. So I think the sub has been activated for the Power. We'll check in with Josh before the ball bounced down to start the third term. But that is a concerning side for the Power. And just keep an eye on Rowan Marshall, who copped a knee knock in the opening quarter and has not looked the same since. Earlier in the round, Melbourne defeated Richmond by 43 points. There was a draw between the Bombers and the Magpies yesterday, and the Giants defeated the Lions by 54 points. Still to come tomorrow, AFL Saturday midday at 12. If you're listening in WA, you'll get Sports Talk from 10. And here in South Australia, SA Grandstand live from Adelaide University at 11. Then we'll take you to North Melbourne and Adelaide at 1:30, Geelong and Carlton at the MCG from 4:30 Eastern, and Fremantle and the Western Bulldogs from 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time as part of your trifecta of Saturday football in round 7. In the other codes, a fair bit happening. I want to start on the golf because at halftime we had a couple of the live golfers have a tee off from the centre circle all the way through to the goal line.
No,
other way around, goal line to the centre circle. And Henrik Stenson, the Swedish golfer, has basically hit the pin. It was waiting in the middle. Ridiculous in terms of the distance that he's done, and he's won a fair bit of money as well in doing so.
I think it was a car someone said at the back.
Unbelievable. So in terms of the live golf, Jamo, and where we actually sit after the opening day here in Adelaide, very low scoring round. One of the lowest we've seen in live this year. Junichiro Kazuma is leading 9 under at the moment. In terms of the big names, they're a fair bit behind. So Mark Leeshan's 5 under, as is John Rahm. Cam Smith is 4 under, so these are a good 5-6 shots behind the leader. And Bryson DeChambeau as well is also 4 under. So at the moment, Junichiro Kazuma currently leading after the opening day of live golf here in Adelaide. In the A-League, Adelaide United leads Brisbane Roar 2-1 at the 55-minute mark. In the NRL, half-time between the Eels and the Sea Eagles, and the Eels lead 14-6. And also in the Super Rugby Pacific, the Crusaders defeated the Rebels 39-0. And currently at the 61-minute mark, the Chiefs lead the Waratahs 29-15. Let's check in downstairs with Josh Money.
Huge blow for Port Adelaide to start this second half. Aliir has failed his concussion test, so he will miss the rest of this game. Jackson Mead, the sub, will come into the game, but that is a massive blow for the Power.
Massive blow for the Saints as well, because Jack Higgins will certainly be suspended now, you'd think.
Does that also mean Aliir's out next week?
Yeah.
That's automatic, isn't it?
2 weeks, yeah. So I think it's 11 days, I think it is. 12 days for the AFL.
Big blow.
In the SANFL, it's 21. Sorry, it's 21 days, yeah. But that's where they're pushing towards 28 days.
Port Adelaide by 10 points. Quickly on the text line, Mick says, "G'day team, driving a taxi in the northern suburbs tonight, enjoying the call." And Bruce in Owen in Bruce Rock in WA says, "G'day from WA. First it was if you choose to bump, now it's if you choose to tackle. What's next?" Concerning signs at the tribunal this week. Port by 10, second half underway here in Adelaide.
Ball caught inside the contest after the ruck, and we'll get a ball up, secondary ball up, just outside the centre circles. Ruckman negate each other. Butters couldn't get a kick away. Higgins was at the bottom of the pack. They fish it out St Kilda. They get it wide to Ross. Inside forward 50 he goes for Membry. Zirk Thatcher over the top. Radicalier with the crumb tackled over the boundary line in the left forward pocket.
Well done. Jack Sinclair too in the middle on Butters. Just shut him down.
So crowd slowly building again in terms of energy to start this second half. Home side does have the lead. Tapped down by Caminiti. Charging past was Hill, but couldn't gather the footy cleanly. And a couple of tackles will be laid to hold up Sharman. Still inside the attacking 50 for the Saints. Lee Howson charges in and tosses the ball into the air. Sweet wins it down, tried to do his own crumbing work as well. Falling into the footy though was Ross, tackled by Rosie, gave it away. Drew for the Power, uses Mead, the sub, straight in. Looks to switch to Pal Pepper, who barks to the defensive edge of the square. Kicking to the right-hand side of your radio dial. Down the line he goes. He was trying to find both. Wilkie read it best, floating across with the intercept mark.
How good's he been tonight? Just getting back with the flight of the footy, defending.
I don't think he was on anybody's radar in that 2018 season until he had such a great grand final.
115 games.
Without missing one too. So Saints working down the eastern side of the ground. It was a great kick forward by Wanganeen Millera, and the intercept mark taken by Pal Pepper, far too strong for Hill. So he's at left half back. Port Adelaide kicking to the Riverbank stand, end of the ground. Aggressive, you say. He kicked it up in the air, basically tried to go through the corridor. Rowan Marshall, the ruck for Port Adelaide, or rather St Kilda, picked it up. Goes to Bonner. Bonner inside half forward with a kick for Membry. 2-foot jump. Let him down again. Gave Port a chance. They knocked it away. Drew now outside 50 finds Burn-Jones hugging the boundary line.
That's what Port Adelaide give you to, Crossy. That kick, I think it was Power Pepper, wasn't it? That long 45, long hang time back in the middle. It's turnover territory.
Burn-Jones low and hard to Drew on the 45. Still around right half back at the moment, Port Adelaide. He marks, looks inside, across the half back line to Radaglia, now switching through defensive 50. Turns to Zirk Thatcher. Two new recruits combined, and now Farrell at left half back. Chip it over the top. Bergman marks. Left half back in front of the Gavin Wanganeen stand. Port Adelaide racking up the touches, but not finding a lot of territory, so Bergman will bang it long. Through centre wing he goes. In the pack, Georgiadis claims it over a flurry of bodies. Hands it off to Rosie. Dinks it over the top. Marshall had some space. 49 out. Tight angle to the left.
Just 4 kicks across the back line and go nowhere. Come inside and then go forward. Why wouldn't you just keep going forward? They've got the tools to hit up. They've got the midfield to run and carry and overlap. I get frustrated watching him transition.
Todd Marshall will start on the boundary line in front of the Foss Williams stand. So lengthy run up for the power youngster. 2 goals last week. 9-6 for the year. Kicks from 55. It's a booming kick, but through for a minor score on the left-hand side. Port Adelaide 6-10-46. St Kilda 5-5-35. 4 minutes into the third term. Mentioned before the half-time break, Malcolm from Barunga on the text line says, if you're worried about their inaccuracy, Hawthorn kicked 25-41 against St Kilda last year. They've blown it for St Kilda trying to exit defensive 50 here, and Pal Pepper's gone down with a knee injury. Ooh. They got the intercept. The delivery inside was straight to him. He put it down, and as he landed, his knee has crumpled, and he's tried to stand up, and he's buckled over. Pal Pepper in all sorts. Trainers scurry out to him. This is a serious injury.
That is not good. The most innocuous. There was not a lot in that. He just jumped up, came down, and then just fell over.
Meanwhile, St Kilda have moved the footy through the broadcast wing. Inside 50 goes Ross. Radaglia pushed out of it. Free kick to go his way as Pal Pepper in the arms of the trainers. Cannot put any weight on that leg.
So he's got 2 trainers with him, and the doctor's coming off the ground. But you'd think if you're Port Adelaide, you're a man down. And he's still another minute or so from getting off the ground. He's just hobbling towards the interchange bench. You'd maybe consider a stretcher to stop everything. Meanwhile, Port Adelaide at left half back. Butters just dinks the ball up to Boak. He's at half back, just on the eastern side of the square. Goes back to Zirk Thatcher, comes onto this side of the ground. Broadcast side to Williams. Down to where Pal Pepper has just left the ground, and Rioli's just come on, receives a hand pass from Drew, over the top to Horn. Francis stops, goes back inside, lead up by Boak. Boak turns around immediately, having taken the mark, into the forward pocket, and Dixon with the mark. Over the back of Cordy, found a little bit of space, and Boak was good enough to get it to him. Go down to Josh Money after this kick at goal just to see what's happening with Pal Pepper as Dixon lines up. I think he's got in mind to go with his left. No, he's going with the right, and he bananas with success. I'm never in doubt. Dixon with his 3rd of the evening. 6 minutes into the third quarter, Port Adelaide now have put a genuine gap in it. 17 the margin, 7-10-52 Port Adelaide. St Kilda 5-5-35. Let's go down to Josh Money.
Yeah, Crossy, Sam Pal Pepper has the attention of the entire Port Adelaide medical team. He's lying down next to the benches and going through all that work on his right knee. They will, of course, go through the dreaded ACL test, so fingers crossed for Sam Powell-Pepper that he can pass that, but does not look good early signs.
Well, I guess the worry for Powell-Pepper is he grabbed it straight away, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it made him, he had to drop the footy, basically. He had almost an uncontested mark. As soon as he landed, ball spilled out, and he grabbed his right knee.
Well, you've done 2. Did you feel straight away, or did you...
Look, mine was done in a tackle and then a change of direction, so not in a marking contest. So, look, it's hard to tell.
He just grabbed it straight away too, watching the replay.
Port by 17. Sweet in the middle, gave the handball away. St Kilda get the entry. Filippo gave it back. Spun in the tackle, his handball cut off, and Port Adelaide get out of dodge. Burgoyne takes the mark at right half back and looks inside to Bergman.
You were brave with the call, though, Crossy. Never in doubt. Charlie Dixon.
No. That was after he kicked it.
They finish the switch. Burn Jones goes underground with a tumbling footy to Mead and then back to Radaglia. So not a lot of dare going forward, Port Adelaide, to start this third term.
I was going to say that, a bit more methodical with their ball movement. They're not taking that risk other than the Powell-Pepper kick back through the corridor, but looking to kick mark and sort of kick their way through St Kilda's zone.
That last 10 minutes of that second quarter, 25% time possession to 9. St Kilda 2, and it just feels it feels like they're a lot further in front at the moment, Port Adelaide, but they're only 17 points.
Just chipping it around, kind of rosy with his 16th touch. Hits Radaglia, left back pocket in front of the scoreboard. He'll send it up the outer wing. Kick a little nonchalant off a couple of steps and was way too shallow for Mead. It's cut off by Sharman. St Kilda swarm. And the handball comes out to Wilson, who races away, spears it into the pocket, and the diving fist from Radaglia knocks it into the fencing away from Caminiti. Will get a boundary throw in. So at the moment, Port Adelaide down a player. Alia subbed out with concussion after a Jack Higgins tackle, and Pepper getting his knee tested after a very awful looking landing.
That's the concern, isn't it? One man down now for Port Adelaide.
Ball comes back into play. Radaglia with a hand pass towards the boundary line.
Well, if you're Port Adelaide too,
you see it over.
You'd
be happy, Crossy, at the moment. Was it 6-2 since quarter time? Whereas, unfortunately, from a Saints perspective, you're halfway through this third quarter and they haven't touched the scoreboard as yet.
So Port Adelaide at the back, or mistake with a hand pass there from Jones, but they'll get away with it. Rosie, though, taken down as he received the ball. Windhager picks it up back towards goal. Membry dropped the ball. He had a chest mark potentially. Bergman gave it off to Houston. Barrels the ball towards the centre. Off hands, it came down. Still looked like he was grabbed. He was okay to get a hand pass to Sinclair. Drives it back in. Umpire off the ball. A spotted holding. And it'll be a free kick to Zerk Thatcher. Goes across the goal face out to the eastern pocket to Horn Francis and then on to Rosie.
Hopefully it sounds like entertaining footy, because at the moment it's not a great watch. Port Adelaide by 17. Struggling to get it past the halfway line. Zerk Thatcher loads up through the centre square. Dixon came late, crunched the pack, and then was almost felled as Marshall took the mark and fell on top of him. Now the Saints are away on the 45. The kick finds its way to Sinclair, who sends it inside 50 to Membry. Charging out. Gets it lace out straight in front. 40 from home.
Tell you what, Rowan Marshall, take a bow. That was an unbelievable contested mark. Had no right to take that mark in front of Dixon, I think it was, and just kept his eyes on the footy. And then the great connect inside 50 to Membry. And having spent a couple of years up at Sydney with Tim Membry, he is a very, very good shot for goal. So you'd expect St Kilda to kick this set shot through Membry.
Starts in the centre square. Looking to chip away at the deficit. Tim Membry crosses the paint of 50. Launches with a long kick. That just squeezes home. The Saints 6th of the night. 6-5-41. They trail Port Adelaide 7-10-52 at the 11-minute mark of the third term. It's Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Crows Premiership player Rod Jamieson, 3-time showdown medalist Josh Franco.
Well, it's been their efficiency, hasn't it, too? Albeit they've kicked 6-5. But when they have gone forward, they do look dangerous. In this quarter, 6 inside 50s to Port Adelaide 3. And from an outside, I've always liked the way he goes at the football too. He can be a bit reckless at times, but the way he lines up and works his kicking. It's pretty impressive. He has got the unique, you called it, Crossy, too. He jumps off 2 feet a lot of the time.
Yep, didn't have a long career at Sydney, just the one match, was delisted back in 2014, picked up by the Saints.
He and Luke Parker look very similar.
Yeah. Out of the middle, it was St Kilda possession, or it looked like a mark for Port Adelaide, but was taken away by St Kilda, and then a long blast from outside 50 from Garcia. Might have been Sharman. Just look at that again, it was Sharman. So it just came off the hands. It looked like it was a mark for Port Adelaide initially. It was just tapped out of the hands. And Cooper Sharman picked it up and said, well, the goals are open. I'm having a ping. And all of a sudden it's a 5-point game. 7-10-52 Port Adelaide. 7-5-47 for St Kilda. Let's go down to Josh Money on the boundary.
Crossy, the ice is coming out for Sam Powell-Pepper and his right knee, so he is done for the night. Another out for Port Adelaide. He's tried a couple of times with the doc to test the stability. Was desperate, you could tell, to come back onto the ground. Eventually, Travis Boak came up, gave him a kiss on the head and basically said, not worth it, mate. So no immediate diagnosis, but certainly Powell-Pepper's night for now is done, and there will be further assessments of his knee throughout the week.
Meanwhile, out of the middle, quick clearing kick from Ross as it tumbles its way towards left half forward for the Saints, and Higgins can't get there in time. So we'll get a boundary throw in. Consecutive goals to the Saints. They're down by 5.
What I will say with the Powell-Pepper scenario, he's a pretty tough player. He wants to come back on. The doctor's saying no.
Not a good sign.
You hold your breath. Yeah, not a good sign. Fingers crossed for him, though.
Knee issue for Powell-Pepper. Concussion for Aaliyah. Toss back into play. Marshall is battling his own damage at the moment. Tapped it down straight to Rosie. Hacked it out of there towards the logo. Drew flew on the bounce and was pushed. And gets the free kick.
He called that late.
Hands it off to the running Rosie. Launches into the 50. Dixon's his target. Outnumbered 2-1. Brought it to ground. Burns was there front and square for the Saints. He hands it to Hill, who's spun out of trouble. Kicked underneath the footy. It's skying its way towards the boundary line. And Filippo did enough to knock it over.
Just having a look at Connor Rosie too. When he kicked that footy, he grabbed his right hamstring.
And
and he's stretching it right now. So,
oh dear.
Wait for an update on that one.
You just wonder about Port Adelaide finishing this match if they lose another one. Ball back in. Marshall tried to fling it forward. Ross just tapped it over the back after it came up to him.
Clean.
Out of mid-air. That time it was Garcia. Got it to Owens, down to half forward now. Membry got his man away from the ball, flicked the hand pass out. Sharman centred the ball up. What's the bounce like? Filippo with a chance, showed it around, gave the hand pass off to Higgins. Owens snaps now. Away for the minor score. They were just under the pressure, the Saints. They couldn't get a clean kick away. And eventually just the minor score to reduce it to a 4-point game in favour of Port Adelaide. Josh Money.
Yeah, so Connor Rosie has now come to the bench with that right hamstring that he kept touching in the hands of the doctors. Could be an absolutely brutal night for Port. If he is ruled out, I'll keep you posted.
And the Saints are coming too right at the moment. You talk about under pressure up forward, the Saints, but the power in the back line are under siege.
It's unravelling fast. They're up by 4, the Power, and looking to exit quickly. Butters with a handball out wide. Mead hooked it in towards the pack. Off hands at the fall of the footy. Rioli got it forward to Marshall. Tunnels it through to Boak. Lowers the eyes and kicked straight to Wilkie, who's been everywhere defensively for the Saints tonight. Back home in South Australia and relishing it at the moment. He's holding the line right now for the Saints.
Tell you what, if you're Ken Hinkley as well, you're not taking any risks with Connor Rosie, are you? No. Not at round 7.
Across the goal face, he kicked, found Cordy, and Dixon refused to step back off the mark. So 50-metre penalty, and Cordy plays on quickly before it's completed. On the 45, he hits Ross to the centre circle. Now Hill turns, spots a target inside 50. Sharman's all alone. Jones did his best to get back, stuck an arm out to cut off the ball drop. Spilled towards Bonner though, sends it in. Membry totally cleaned up Owens, who was sitting underneath the drop of the footy, and it's been knocked over the boundary line in front of the scoreboard. So St Kilda's attacking 50. They've had the last 3 scoring shots and are peppering ever closer to a lead.
I'll keep an eye on the rotations now. At the moment, Port Adelaide 42 of 75, Saints 46 of 75. If they're 3-man down, it's really going to inhibit their ability to rotate players off the bench.
And even to your point as well, Aaron, in terms of how this game's changed, it's 10-5 inside 50 St Kilda's way. So they're dominating field position.
St Kilda smuggle the ball to Higgins, who gets it onto his left foot. And he's saying to boys, we're a chance here. They've snatched back the lead by 2 points. St Kilda 8-6-54, Port Adelaide 7-10-52. What a massive turnaround in the game in the last 5 minutes or so. 17 down in the third quarter, and the Saints by 2 points.
Well, I'll tell you what as well, obviously terrific goal there, and we talked about the change in momentum in this contest with St Kilda now dominating field position and being able to hit the scoreboard. But one player for Port Adelaide that needs to get going is Jason Horne-Francis. It looks like Rosie's going to be interchanged and benched for the rest of the game with a hamstring issue, but we'll get more information on that soon. But Horne-Francis, Butters does it week in, week out. This is a game where Horne-Francis can really stamp his name on the competition.
5 of the last 8 goals to the Saints. It's looking more and more like the MCG last week. Collingwood had that purple patch either side of half-time. Tossed up in the middle. Marshall wins it down looking for Philippou. Slipped out of his grip. Horne-Francis gets a kick under pressure. Bounced straight to Sinclair. He was tackled by Boak, who had over the footy for Burgoyne. Wrenches it out. Got it to Butters. Flicked it through to Horne-Francis. Wheels through centre wing. Bowled over as he kicks inside 50. Rioli launched and reels it in. Almost jumped too early and just managed to hook it in as he hit the deck. Willie Rioli takes it 25 out, slight angle to the right.
Almost on cue, wasn't it? Horne-Francis was terrific in the centre bounce, got the handball away, followed his work up, and then sent it long and strong inside forward 50. And talk about this bloke Rioli, he's got something magical, hasn't he? Can just pull a goal out of his backside whenever he likes.
Just had to sit on Liam Stocker.
Was eyeing off a hanger and adjusted at the last moment. Rioli trots in from 35 to settle things down for the Power. He slots it for his second of the night. And it's back to an 8-point game. No, 4-point game, I should say. No, 6. We're getting there. 4. I was right. Jeez. Give me a spell. 8-10-58, Port Adelaide, St Kilda 8-6-54 as we approach time on in the third term. And that is 100 goals for the Premiership Evil. And now dangerous power forward. Willie Rioli notches the ton and raises the bat at the Adelaide Oval.
Stop second-guessing yourself, Aaron. Back yourself in.
It's champion data. That second delay.
That's but you point the finger at other people. Put your head down. Let's go.
So, just to be clear, 8th lead change of the game. Port Adelaide now in front by 4 points.
Thank you, Neil.
So, quiet settles over the crowd.
Gee, Port needed that.
Yep. Out of the middle, Horne-Francis, lovely little hand pass to Butters. Just a little veer outside his line. 2 bounces towards 50. Inside 50, Burne-Jones takes a chest marker. Little dink kick was good from Butters. And things changed that quickly.
And again, sorry, Jam, it just tells you and shows you the need and the benefit and the advantage of getting that centre clearance. A couple in a row, couple of quick entries inside forward 50. St Kilda not able to get numbers back because it's the centre bounce and the 6-6-6 rule. But again, terrific little change of angle from the kick inside 50 from Butters.
Burne-Jones straight in front, 40 out. Away to the right for the minus score. 3 the margin. Latest on Connor Rosie from Josh Money down on the boundary.
Yeah, been a brutal half an hour for Port Adelaide, but could be some good news on the way. Rosie's had a lot of work done on that right hamstring and is looking to come back onto the ground.
Booming kick from Sinclair as he plays on from the defensive goal square. Was looking for Stocker. 2-on-2 goes to ground. Rioli falls into the footy as well. Did pull it in with Bonner tackling, but the umpire gives him the benefit of the doubt. We'll get a ball up. Right half forward for the Power. They're up by 5. Tossed up. Marshall wins it down. Looking for Bonner. It bounced a little wide on the 90-degree angle. Found Burgoyne instead, who's caught high. Windhager laid the tackle. Free kick to the Power. Too far out to score at the moment, Jace Burgoyne, but developing into a superb talent. 21 touches in their last 2 games. Kicks it inside 50. Slipped through the hands of Burne-Jones at the front of the pack. Before the footy, Wanganeen Miller has spun a full 360 by Dixon, who was begging for the free kick and won't be rewarded. It'll be tossed up 30 from home, straight in front for the Power.
It's like a Venus flytrap, wasn't it?
In the ruck contest, ball finds its way away from the ruckman. Might have been a head clash there. Ball came out to Mead, who sent the ball into the forward pocket. Burgoyne running with the flight, takes a chest mark. He's going to have a shot at goal from maybe 35 out to the right of the goal face.
Just looking at the boundary line as well, guys. Connor Rosie's warming up on the boundary. He's just come back on the ground. And as I said, I saw him have that kick inside 50 and he grabbed and he clutched his right hamstring. So fingers crossed that he's okay.
Well, he's had a lot of work, so maybe it was awareness. We'll use that terminology.
Cramp. Could be cramp.
Burgoyne misses to the right, never online. You heard the groan from the crowd, which is quite sizable. There'd be maybe 39,000 here tonight. So the minor score extends the lead to 6 for Port Adelaide.
They've absolutely missed some Monties too. There's only one rush behind in all of that.
8-12-60 the Power to the Saints. 8-6-54. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Great to have you with us for it. Set to be an enthralling finish, you'd imagine. The single-digit margin. Howard gets the exit. Radaglia bowls his way through the pack. Caminiti, the victim, spills out towards Farrell. Trying to gather close to the boundary line. Uses Burgoyne, who may have copped a stray arm high by Steele. Punters in the front row certainly thought so, but the umpire happy to let it go. So to be tossed back into play, just forward of centre wing as Ollie Wines makes his way onto the park. Port Adelaide by 6. Toss back in. Sweet front position up against Marshall. The latter won it down. Tackle was late on Steele, who didn't have the footy by Wines, and he fell away asking for the free kick. Again, unpaid, and we'll get a ball up.
Once the players separate themselves, they're doing their best now. And finally, Sweet gets a help up. Goes back to work. Knocks it down beautifully to Burgoyne. His kick inside 50. Looking for Dixon. Couldn't take the mark. We'll get the free kick over the shoulder by Cordy. And so the mark is 1 metre inside 50. Dixon will have to kick this every bit of 50. Outside was running Bergman. Wanted the hand pass, fancied himself. Dixon.
The rub of the green here, Crossy, too. 17 frees to 7 in favour of Port.
Dixon arcs out to the right, slams it along. It's going to land about 6 or 7 metres short despite the enthusiasm of the crowd. Ball on the ground. No clean possession will be had. Then the umpires circle and say, give it to me. So about 15 metres out, straight in front of the goal face. Dixon puts his hand up. He wants to go to the ruck now.
He just looks slow, doesn't he, at the minute?
Sweets ended up taking it. Caught behind Marshall, who won it down and hacked out of there by Sinclair. Rolls its way to right half back. Radaglia is there, trying to wheel his way around Membry. Caught in the tackle, handed it off to Lockie Jones, who walks it over the boundary line in front of the Foss Williams stand. On the text line 0437 774 774. Loving the call from Waker. He says the Brisket brothers. And Fran from Melbourne enjoying the call as usual. Going for Port tonight. I want to hear their song. It's the best aside from Collingwood's.
That just sounds good, the Brisket brothers.
Toss back in. Windhager hacked a kick out of the stoppage. Only found Lockie Jones. He's on the logo on the outer side. Port by 6.
Don't mind a good brisket.
Making me hungry, Jamo. Can we not? Didn't get my pie at half time.
What goes with brisket, Jamo?
Long ball. Darcy Burn-Jones sitting underneath it in the attacking 50. Wilkie got a hand to it. Knocked down. St Kilda again clear. Tumbling its way towards the centre square. Radaglia slides in. Turns straight to the Caminiti tackle. He's held up. We'll get a ball up. Attacking half for the Power. Couple of entries, but no reward. They're up by 6. Time on in the third.
Slow cooked. Open fire. Bottle of red.
Marshall knocking it forward for St Kilda, picked up by Jones. Wide it goes to Mead off his non-preferred left foot, down to half forward. Wilkie with a punch away. Wanganeen Malira takes it. Inside he goes. That was a dangerous kick, but he found Sinclair. So Sinclair takes his time, drops it in short. Wanganeen Malira. Beautiful kick. Diagonal down the line, found his man Windhager. Burns running outside, receives the hand pass inside forward 50. Radaglia, hands on the ball to the front. Higgins got it on the ground. And is he over the ball? Yes. Does the umpire think it's holding the ball? No. Ball up, straight in front of the goal face, 20 out for St Kilda. Let's locate Rosie.
Get him off.
Yeah, get him off. Round 7. Put him on ice.
Charging towards the stoppage, but noticeable link as Sweet gets it down to Mead, rolls the kick out of defensive 50. Couple of wobbles as it goes towards the boundary line. There's a whistle, and it looked like the umpire paid a holding free kick rather than deliberate.
Wanganeen Miller was taken down by Boak.
There you go. So free kick to the Saints, right half forward. The Glenelg product, one of 4 South Australians in the St Kilda lineup. Wanganeen Miller spears it in. Horn Francis floats across to cut off Wilson, who was charging out, and knocks it towards the boundary line. So it will be tossed back into play. Crowd's getting restless. Port by 6 at the moment.
I don't mind Darcy Wilson, just his ability and his speed to get up at the football. It's only his 7th game.
So the ball comes in. Off the contest, Windhager was nabbed by a couple. What does the umpire think? Holding the ball. Not sure if he had a great opportunity to get rid of it before he was taken down. Mead and Houston involved in the, or rather Wines involved in the tackle. Wines goes inboard with a kick. So dangerous. It was punched away from Radaglia by Membry, but Wines was able to follow up and get the ball. Outside 50, he goes with a kick. This time a lot more secure and finds Mead. So Mead with the mark called to play on.
Port Adelaide are looking for three-quarter time.
Mead looks for a long kick. Dixon helps out, comes over the top. Umpire spots holding off the ball. Sweet will take the free kick. Interference in that marking contest. Sweet to take it.
Links up with Farrell. Riding shotgun. He sends it into the left forward pocket. It was a little wide for Burne-Jones, but he's paid the mark. Bang on the boundary line. It's on the outer side, so in terms of the distance, it's not a great angle for us, but the crowd certainly didn't believe that was in.
It's almost down in the St Kilda change room.
Oh,
look at this.
That looks over.
It is well over.
They've paid it. A gift for Darcy Burne-Jones. Can he cash in? Tight angle from 30, looking to thread the needle. That is extraordinary. Oh, Ross Lyon will be having a meltdown. Port Adelaide have been given a gimme. And they're up by 2 goals now. 9-12-66 to the Saints. 8-6-54. Approaching the 30-minute mark of this third term. It's Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco in a moment. But first, Josh Money on the boundary.
Yeah, Connor Rozee now coming back to the bench in the hands of Medico. Port have taken a risk here with tightness. A showdown in 6 days, Geelong away in 2 weeks. If it was just tight and he's now done it, Josh and Jamo, what sort of call was that?
Well, I think if you look at the initial incident, and maybe the docs didn't see it, but he grabbed it. So there was... That's not just awareness, that's not tightness, that's his hamstring. I'm no doctor, I'm no physio, but I guess my experience in sport, that's something to let go in your hamstring, and you just hope they've made the right call by putting him out there and not doing more damage.
Port Adelaide come away through. Horn Francis glides his way through the middle, then gave it to Mead by hand, and then Mead's left foot high, inside 50. Georgiades went to ground pleadingly at the umpire. No free kick. Hand pass back to Horn Francis, or rather Wines, and he gave it off to Butters. Had a snap at the goals. It was very high, but only through for the minus score. Willie Rioli kicked that ball away. That the goal umpire now is going to want to check on whether that was a goal or a point. It was pretty obvious, I thought.
Well, it looks like the St Kilda players aren't too overly concerned, so they're ready to kick it out.
It's pretty obvious, yeah, because the ball bounced well over the line. I don't know what the confusion was. For some reason, the goal umpire wasn't in a good position to see that the ball bounced a full metre over the line.
I think Rioli kicked it in frustration.
Yeah, I thought Rioli kicked it in frustration, but the goal umpire wanted to check.
Yeah. That's where they need the review going back when Darcy Burne-Jones has taken the mark.
So Port by 13. For those who caught the Anzac Day Eve game, Melbourne-Richmond, Jacob Hopper had exactly the same situation as Connor Rozee. So tweaked his hamstring, decided to stay out, goes to a stoppage, wins the footy, bursts through the outer wing, and essentially rips it. They haven't said how bad it is, but he was done. So inaugural kind of awareness, stays out, aggravates it, and we don't know how bad it could be for the Tigers. Meanwhile, Connor Rozee looks to have done the same. He's pulled up a little short, stayed out, and now could be out for the game. So Port Adelaide have pushed to a 13-point lead at three-quarter time. Is it enough with a two-man bench? if Rosie is out of the game, Alia's already concussed and been subbed, and Palpepper may have done a serious knee injury. So the Saints will be licking their lips at this final term. 9-13-67 plays 8-6-54. The goal scorers for the Power, 3 to Dixon, 2 to Rioli, singles to Rosie, Palpepper, Georgiadis and Burne-Jones. Meanwhile for the Saints, 2 to Owens, singles to Higgins, Hill, Filippo, Membry, Sharman and Caminiti. Great to have your company for what should be an enthralling finish on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app. This is Friday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
The May issue of Gardening Australia is filled with growing goodness. Feast your eyes on gorgeous new release roses. Read about growing proteus and Japanese zelkova. And take a fresh look at chrysanthemums. Visit an artist's garden, give your indoor plants a health check, learn how to maximise your veggie harvest, and get tips on easy ways to compost. Available from newsagents and abcmagazines.com.au.
The 2024 Anzac Day Round.
On your radio.
Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
They've blown it, St Kilda trying to exit defensive 50 here, and Palpepper's gone down with a knee injury. They got the intercept, the delivery inside was straight to him, he put it down, and as he landed, his knee is crumpled, and he's tried to stand up, and he's buckled over. Palpepper in all sorts.
Boat turns around immediately, having taken the mark, into the forward pocket, and Dixon with the mark. Over the back of Court, he found a little bit of space. I think he's got in mind to go with his left. No, he's going with the right, and he bananas with success. I'm never in doubt. Dixon with his third of the evening.
Starts in the centre square. Looking to chip away at the deficit. Tim Membry crosses the paint of 50. Launches with a long kick. That just squeezes home.
St Kilda smuggle the ball to Higgins, who gets it onto his left foot. And he's saying, boys, we're a chance here. They've snatched back the lead by 2 points.
Flicked it through to Norn Francis. Wheels through centre wing. Bowled over as he kicks inside 50. Rioli launched and reels it in. Rioli trots in from 35 to settle things down for the Power. He slots it for his second of the night. A gift for Darcy Burne-Jones. Can he cash in? Tight angle from 30, looking to thread the needle. That is extraordinary.
The 2024 Anzac Day Round.
On your radio.
Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Couple of late goals have given Port the lead heading into the final term. 9-13-67 to 8-6-54, but it is absolute carnage for the home side. Alia out with concussion. Sam Palpepper facing a serious knee injury. He's out of the game. Connor Rosie may have just done his hamstring as well, so we'll head down to Josh Money ahead of the fourth term. But a 2-man bench looming, and only a 13-point lead to hold on to for Port Adelaide. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you for the call. Rod Jamison, Josh Franco, your experts. The text line 0437 774 774. David and Cherie have said they're travelling from Sunbury to the Northern Hill, listening to a magnificent coverage of an exciting game. Keep up the good work. And also Riley wants to know, Jamo, as a North Melbourne fan in Melbourne, I wanted to say that you were my favourite player growing up. So you've got a fan on the text line, Jamo.
I almost ended at the... Well, I was drafted by the Kangaroos, actually, too. And I was one of 10 concessions, lucky enough to... Adelaide chose, so I ended up staying here. Otherwise, I was on my way to the Kangaroos. And at the time, I actually, Justin Staritsky, who was playing at Norwood, we were both drafted there. We were going to go live together. I had to phone Staritsky up and go, sorry, mate, you're on your own now.
Well, yes, we are very thankful that you stuck around, Rod Jamison. So
sliding doors.
Final term coming up. Can Port Adelaide hang on, considering they've got so many injuries now? A showdown around the corner. St Kilda's season on the line as well at 2-4. They'd want to try and nab one here.
Well, it's interesting how that quarter unfolded. It was dominated field position by St Kilda. They were able to hit the scoreboard, get their noses in front. And you talked about the carnage from Port Adelaide. Palpepper went down. Rosie went off with that hamstring. So, to their credit, late in that quarter, they were able to kick a couple of late goals and go into the three-quarter time break 13 points up. But, I mean, the game's still really evenly poised. Port Adelaide undermanned. They've only got 2 on the bench now that they can rotate. And I guess I've just written down this question. Does Ross Lyon actually make his players aware of it? Do you actually say to them, boys, I've got a couple down their rotation, or do you just let it be? Because sometimes that can have a negative effect.
Well, I think you would raise the fact that we can run this game out. And again, looking at the interchange now at three-quarter time, Port Adelaide done 50 of 75. And now St Kilda 55 of 75. So they've got 20 remaining to 25, but we'll monitor throughout this because, again, you just want to get your fresh players on into the roles that they need to cover, and you're really going to press hard as the Port Adelaide are going to rely on too few at the minute. Where Port Adelaide are clearly winning is the tackle. Their defensive work has been outstanding. 60 to 40 at three-quarter time. Tackles inside their forward 50, 15 to 5. So once it's in their forward 50, they are making it incredibly hard for the Saints to get it out.
And in Port Adelaide's favour as well, I'm just looking at number 10, Travis Boak. He's a player, he hasn't played a lot of mid-time, but he's someone they can inject into the midfield at the expense of Connor Rozee.
Well, and Drew's actually done pretty well on the wing for Port Adelaide too. Jack Sinclair is in the middle on Zach Butters.
So the combination to start the fourth quarter will be Horne-Francis, Wines and Butters with Jordan Sweet. Port Adelaide up by 13 points. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Can St Kilda run them down?
Jack Steele to Jason Horne-Francis.
Marshall and Sweet nearly start next to each other on the opposing sides of the centre circle. And in the end, the ball drop favours Sweet, who becomes tackled by Marshall. So we'll go again. 9-13-67 plays 8-6-54. Smashed forward by Sweet with the big fist. Tumbles its way to half forward. Georgiadis out to meet it. Gave it to the running Wines. Gave it away to Nasiah Wangadeen. Miller wrapped up quickly by Boak and caught holding the ball.
Yeah, he tried to give the fend off. As soon as you extend that arm to fend off, then you're at risk.
The three-time Peter Madco medalist Boak hands it to Horne-Francis. Launches from 60. The Hornet can't deliver. Floats through for a minor score on the left-hand side. 9-14-68. Port Adelaide leads St Kilda 8-6-54. Early in the final term, dangerous exit on the kick-in. The chip kick hit Manganine Miller a little shallow. Did enough to gather at his bootlaces and found battle. Josh Money downstairs.
Jacket on and ice on that right hamstring for Connor Rozee. He's done. Port down to 2 on the bench and 3 of their most important players done for the night.
Saints get the ball to centre wing. Horne-Francis standing up thus far. Stood up that time, gave a hand pass out. Houston gave it to Farrell. He looks back and in a 45-degree angle. Goes from wing back to centre half back to Bergman by himself. Bergman runs out of that spot. Goes long. Back towards half forward. Ball on the ground. Picked up by Burgoyne. Inside hand pass. Found Houston. Chips the ball to half forward. Very wide. Just inside the boundary. Was Rioli. Took the chest mark. Ball coming over the shoulder. He's at right half forward.
They normally hit this three-quarter kick here too, Crossy, so St Kilda have to be sort of alert to the fact that here it is.
Here it is. Rioli puts it into the pocket. Todd Marshall was there. He was sat on the St Kilda defence and out of bounds. Right forward pocket for Port Adelaide.
Josh Money might need to be stretching in the minute too. You're up a chance, Josh.
Two-man bench for the Power at the moment. Toss back into play. Dixon tapped it straight for Butters. Just a little wide and bounces away from him. They'll try again in front of the scoreboard.
Who do you prioritise if you Ken Hinkley now to have rotations and keep out there? Do you get your big fellas to say, look, you've just got to run the quarter out and keep spinning your mids so that you've got fresh legs on ball?
I think you're just saying to your mids, you've got to hang in there here now. Yep.
Dixon again beats Marshall. Won it down looking for Burgoyne. Left it behind. Busting through Windhager. Found Steele. Tackled maybe without it. Had a clean gather. Doesn't matter. Windhager gathers and jams it up towards Burns, who gives it off to Bonner. Kick smothered by Boak. They're still inside defensive 50, the Saints, and running out of room fast. Wilkie to Burns, who just hooks it out of play, trying to find some territory. He'll put it down. Port Adelaide over the numbers. A hat kick up towards centre wing. Radagalia made it look good. Takes the mark and looks inside. Port Adelaide with possession. Farrell has the footy.
Farrell considers long, goes short. Bergman just ahead of the centre circle. Breaks to his right from the centre of the field. Drives it long inside forward 50. Marshall comes from behind. Oh, the ball bounces up into his hands off the left foot. 25 from goal. Ball up. Off the pack. Drew got it. Slipped the hand pass out. Georgiadis went to ground. Taken high, said the umpire. Just a stray arm there from Josh Battle. And that was enough. He was going in low to take the ball. And the shot shows, from the other side, the replay shows that he did just slap him across the neck, and the umpire saw it straight in front, 30 metres out. Georgiades with the shot at goal.
Well, he hasn't had his kicking boot on tonight. You talk about the context of the game. He's kicked 1 goal, 3. This will put Port Adelaide 20 points up with only 2 on the interchange. Massive kick for Georgiades.
In he comes and sprays it to the right for the minus score. So makes it a 15-point game. Favour of Port Adelaide. But you've got to think the Saints will come at some stage.
Bonner chips it to Howard, the former power defender, 45 games, and once captained them as well against the Suns. Now at his new home and back into the side for the first time this year. Hits up Cordy. Still in defensive 50, right back pocket at the moment. Crowd a little anxious. Saints know there's an opportunity here. Long kick down the line. Caminiti. Throw a blanket over them and he's managed to reel it in.
Doesn't really know what to do with it, does he?
On the broadcast wing, a hop step forward back. Finally just loads up with a kick towards right half forward. Pinballed off a couple of hands. The footy socketed forward by Burn-Jones. Wilson couldn't gather a load of ground with Mead on his tail, and there'll be a boundary throw-in right half forward for the Saints. They're down by 15 at the moment. 9:15:69 plays 8:6:54, and the most nervous man in the house at the moment looks like Ross Lyon. Head in hands, unsure of what's about to play out.
Marshall gets to the front, knocks it down. Butters standing off the pack. Ball bounced to him. Down towards centre wing. Looked like Dixon was wrapped up. Umpire said play on. Hand passes eventually find Burns down the line as he was about to go out. Intercepted by Drew. So just beside the interchange gates. Drew with the mark, and now right between the interchange gates. The shortest of short passes finds Wines. Wines down the line with his kick. He's looking for Boak. Just carried over the back. Ross took it. Hand pass to Bonner. Inboard dangerous. Came through to Howard down the line, and he bit off more than he could take. And it's out on the full. So Radical here with the ball. Inboard he goes with his short pass to Bergman. Port just holding on to the ball and perhaps holding on to the match with the lead of 15 points.
Bergman races inside, then hits up Farrell on the outer wing. Looks forward to Horn Francis. Farrell actually pulled his man through the mark. Crowd wants a 50 that won't be paid. Meanwhile, St Kilda is flooded back and Horn Francis is forced to just bang it in. Hit and hope to the scoreboard pocket. Marshall couldn't launch. Floating across Hasty. Knocked it to ground, the St Kilda sub. Hands it out towards Marshall, then Ross. Little 1-2 with Wilson. And up the outer side goes St Kilda. Membry caught behind, and a good mark taken by Bergman, who stood his round in front position to cut it off. So St Kilda's sub has been activated. Looks like Cooper Sharman is the man that is off for them. Port Adelaide now looking to rebound back in. Here's Farrell, the lethal left to the top of the goal square. Marshall floated in the hole to take it, but there was a holding free that kept him available. Dixon just held out of it, enabled the big ruckman to float across. So Big Charlie's got the free kick, top of the goal square. A chance for his fourth.
Can't see what it's for either, too, as Dougal Howard on Charlie Dixon. There was hardly anything in it.
Dixon comes in and delights on Friday night. He's got 4. 21-point lead to the Power. It's a game-high margin with a two-man bench. 10-15-75 to the Saints. 8-6-54. 8 minutes into the final term. It's Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco.
It was probably the perfect start to this last quarter for Port Adelaide. As we've mentioned numerous times, there's only 2 on the bench now to rotate. And currently, I think it's 5-zip inside 50. Yeah, 5-0. So St Kilda, 7 minutes into this quarter, yet to go inside forward 50. And they've got all the work ahead of them. Although Port Adelaide, as we said, they're down on rotations. But St Kilda, they've got to get going quickly and find an avenue to be able to break out of Port Adelaide's back 50 and enter the forward 50 to give their forwards an opportunity.
Port Adelaide at 75% kicking efficiency to St Kilda's 57 in the last quarter. Again, Port Adelaide come out of the middle. Mead down to half forward. That looked like a mark to Stocker. The umpire, I thought he stopped it. The umpire called play on. Ball on the ground, Boak burrowing in. And now, it comes away for Stocker. Got a hand pass out. Now Burns, high kick towards centre wing. Out on the full, no. There was holding there going on behind the play. Garcia was being held back by Williams. So Garcia for St Kilda takes the free kick hard against the boundary on centre wing. Just drives it up to half forward. Ball over the back. Bergman was there. Slipped it to Houston towards the boundary. And Mead chips it down the line. Turns it over again. Windhager just worked the angle well in front of Wines to take the mark.
The 20-year-old forward of centre wing for the Saints. They're down by 21. Disposal number 18 about to come. Windhager kicks inside 50. Pat converges. Radagalier nearly claimed it. Knocked away late by Caminiti. Houston now brought to ground in the tackle. Steele holds him up. We'll get a ball up. 45 out from St Kilda's goal. Riverbank stand end.
Jack Steele's only had the 11 disposal, but gee, he works hard defensively.
Tossed up Caminiti in the ruck. Sweet easily beats him. Tapped it down to Butters, who could have got a kick but missed his boot under pressure from Sinclair. Thrust forward by the Saints. Ross to Hill. Caught. Tried to wheel away from Drew. Stuck the tackle and escorted him over the boundary line. It'll be tossed back into play. Right half forward for the Saints. 21 points the deficit. They're 8-6-54. Port Adelaide 10-15-75.
Ball comes in again. Marshall gets to the back of the pack. Sinclair off the left foot, high inside 50 for St Kilda. Burgoyne got up, punched it away. Drew almost had it in the hands. He was met solidly by Wilson. Ball on the ground again. It's flipped out to Ross for St Kilda. To the top of the goal square. Zerk Thatcher couldn't take it. Opportunity for the Saints. It's come all the way back to Windhager. Turned into trouble, got a kick away. Only about 2 metres. Mead took it. Gave it away to Rosie, or rather, Rosie's off the ground. He gave it away to Butters. It was Batman, not Robin.
Butters to Wines. Through the corridor go the power. Drew speared it to the centre circle and Boat put it down uncharacteristically. Keeps fighting though. Rioli with the assist and Drew rips it out. Hacked it forward and only found Stocker in the defensive 50 for the Saints. They want to get going. Out to the broadcast wing to Burns. Down the line he goes. Marshall had some space. Takes the mark as Thatcher closed. Counted for his trouble as well, the big ruck. Copped a knee knock in the opening term, but has battled through. On the 45, looks inside. Hits Bonner. The Saints chipping it around now. Into the centre square they go. Howard.
They look better when they move the footy quick, the Saints, and they can get over the back of Port Adelaide.
Put it wide of Wilkie. He turns and chips it down the line. Here's Battle. Through centre wing he goes and finds Hasty.
Hasty with on the logo on centre wing. He wants to go. He does go now. Goes long. 25 from goal. Ball settles off the pack. Sinclair drops it onto the boot. Rolls it through. Brilliant goal. Wonderful read off the high-flying pack. One grab, one look, one dribble, one goal for Sinclair. 12 minutes down in the final quarter. St Kilda get a bit closer. 9-6-60 plays 10-15-75. Saints trail by 15 points. Josh Money on the boundary.
Darcy Byrne-Jones coming off in the hands of a physio. I think it's just cramp, but he's certainly signalling to his leg. So fingers crossed for the Power that they can at least keep their 2 on the bench.
Well, the Saints have made 8 rotations to this particular point, where Port Adelaide have only done the 3.
Well, what Port Adelaide can do now is with their ball movement, they can be a little bit more controlled. It's not shutting up shop. It's sort of more kick mark, and we've seen them do a little bit of that when they've dominated field position. They'll keep working it around sort of the centre of the ground, maintain possession. The last thing Port want to do is go quick, cause a turnover, get caught out defensively, and St Kilda hurt them on the rebound. So they just got to be a bit smart with their ball use, considering they're 2 down on the bench.
Thoughts of All-Australian midfielder Josh Franco. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Port Adelaide by 15 out of the middle. Diving handball from Steele under pressure from Butters. Got it to Hasty. Kick was smothered by Wines. Keeps going. Got a second chance. Hands it off to Wanganeen Millerer. Through the broadcast wing he goes. Deep kick up towards right half forward and Houston.
This kick here, Aaron, he's just got to be a little bit smart how he uses the ball here by foot, Houston.
The All-Australian defender rising above the pack and taking the intercept mark.
Still aggressive.
Penetrating kick through the centre square. Georgiadis nudged Underneath the ball, drop Stocker at the back. Caught in a tackle, got a handball straight to Butters. Here come the power. Butters, Farrell, Burgoyne now. Back to Butters. He's racking them up. Disposal 25 for the milestone man. Sends it towards 50. Only found Wilkie.
That's exactly what Josh is talking about.
The Saints now looking to rebound. Wilkie to Stocker. The entries from Port Adelaide haven't been composed at all in this final term. 15 points their lead. We've still got 9 minutes to go here at the Adelaide Oval.
They're going to give you time and space here, Port Adelaide, because they're going to cover space, not necessarily their man, and try and force the Saints wide.
So it went out to Wilson. Wilson showed his pace, took off, got it down to half forward. Off the hands of Zirk Thatcher, over the back, finally over the line. So,
Crossy, I think even further to that is if you control your ball movement, you're actually not using all your petrol tickets, so you actually get a break in offence. As we said, 2 down on the bench, then you don't have to rotate as heavily, and you've got petrol tickets and defence when the ball's turned over.
Marshall taps the ball down, and Windhager picks it up and is immediately pounced on by a couple who then fall to ground. Umpires called for it. It's near the point of the square at half forward for St Kilda. Off hands, Houston just belted forward. Wilson picked it up off his left foot, inside 50 and out on the full. Well wide. And Lockie Jones for Port Adelaide will take the free kick. Drops it in short. Mark there for Williams.
A lot on the line tonight. St Kilda could be 2-5 if they can't get the job done. They've only been able to play finals once in the modern era with a record similar to that. They had 1 win, 1 draw and 5 losses in 2011 and lost the elimination final. Port Adelaide, long exit battle in the pack, thrusts it straight down to Ross. Hat kick forward from Steele into the 50. Higgins couldn't get there in time. And it's cut off by Williams for the power. Slotted back into the lineup magnificently across the night. No Rosie, no Aaliyah, no Pal Pepper. Port Adelaide hanging on. Williams drives it up towards centre wing. Knocked down. Cordy got it towards Stocker. Now Wilson, last week's rising star, hands it over the top to Hill. Back to Wilson, put it in his path. He left it in the end. He had Filippo coming the other way, and the 2 young Saints couldn't figure out who to get there. Jones gathers for Port Adelaide. Handball over the top. Just a hit and hope, really. Filippo can cut it off. Spun in the tackle. Got boot to ball. Bounces in front of Higgins. Zirk Thatcher the other way. Cut it off. Jams it up towards the outer wing. Awkward bouncing ball for Marshall. Wines kept running and it leads in his path. Taps it to Dixon, who can square it up. Horn Francis and both nearly collide. And the youngster takes the mark. Hits Burgoyne on the broadcast wing. Port Adelaide on the charge.
Farrell on his natural left foot. Drives it high and long, just inside 50. Georgiades flies off the hands. It's come to Bogue. Bogue has a snap at goal from 40. It's coming back, not quite enough. Through for the minus score. Just a settler, though, in many ways for Port Adelaide. They can lock it in now. They lead by 16 points. Now we're beyond the halfway mark of this final quarter.
Wanganeen Miller wants to go, and his kick is so long and hard it clears the pack. Bouncing through the centre square. Garcia can't get there in time. Zirk Thatcher cut it off. His handball missed Farrell, though. Cashing in Windhager. Gets it off to Hasty. The sub pushed as he kicked around the body. And Lockie Jones was waiting back for the intercept.
Well, you just sense St Kilda are coming. They just haven't got the polish to execute it.
Yeah.
Humbly and bumbly and missed kicks and just lacking a little bit of composure at present.
Lockie Jones gave it to Butters. Dangerous kick inside. It floated in the air for Horn Francis and Hill cuts it off. Hits up Marshall. Now Owens, true centre, half forward. Off a step. Kicks in the Higgins direction. Juggles and marks. Oh, it bobbled out of his grasp, but he just got it on the second bite. 25 out. Opens the angle. Higgins snaps. St Kilda are alive. 2 for Jack. And it's a 10-point ball game at the Adelaide Oval. Port 10-16, 76. St Kilda 10-6, 66. We've still got 6 minutes to play as well. Friday night 40 on ABC Sport. Josh Money downstairs.
It was just crammed for Burn Jones. The Port has avoided more injury carnage, but the Saints are certainly coming.
Joe, that was a kick. You talk about controlling the ball movement, but it's in Port Adelaide's DNA to go back through the middle, and that kick from Butters, there's 6 minutes of play left. You're up by 15, 16 points. just a high-risk kick. But again, particularly without sounding like a broken record, particularly when you're 2 men down on the bench, you're down on rotations, you've got guys that are struggling in terms of their physical output. Just play the percentages. Probably wasn't the kick.
The 4 Port Adelaide midfielders have not changed, I wouldn't have thought, in the last 6 or 8 minutes from the middle.
Out of the middle, Horne-Francis pushes off, takes a bounce. He's out on the wing on this broadcast side. Over to Burgoyne. Burgoyne, well, he just thumped it forward as best he could. He wasn't in good position for the kick. And so it's not by Cordy, away from Dixon, and we'll get a throw in right where the arc of the 50 meets the boundary line.
On the line, 10-point lead to the Power. Marshall taps it down. The bootlaces of Sinclair couldn't gather with Georgiadis on his tail. Windhager thrusts a handball up. Marshall now wrestling for it with Horne-Francis. Sinclair ended up receiving the footy, got it out to Hasty, nearly run down, got boot to ball through the broadcast wing. Radaglia there to cut it off, couldn't control it at his shins, and then rucked up on the second bite. Good tackle laid there by Membry. So we'll get a ball up, bang in front of the benches. 10-16, 76 the Power. 10-6, 66 the Saints. Sweet taps it down, looking for the boundary line. Hasty tried to keep it in for the Saints, as did Windhager. Kicked it straight to the shins of Burgoyne. Ricochets out in the steal direction. Had Sweet all over him. Boak becomes the tackler on Marshall. Got a 5-metre kick looking for Hill. It's pinball at the moment. Bouncing its way through the broadcast wing. Port Adelaide will win out. Boak gathers, turns, hooks it into the 50. Who else?
That was unbelievable.
Callum Wilkie with 4 to beat has juggled it, and they're out on the outer side.
Wilson takes the ball and then goes out to the outer side. Wanganeen, Malira running out there, down to half forward. Going back with a flight. Zerk Thatcher got a hand to the ball. Got it to the ground. Higgins just tapped it forward. Looked like he held Jones. Play on, called the umpire. Sinclair. Hand pass out to Owens. Dragged down straight away towards the pocket. There was Bergman, and Bergman took it over the line in the end. Desperate tackle from Bergman, followed it up and took it over the line, 25 around from the goal face. The Saints are trying hard, but they, just as Josh Franco said, don't have the polish at the moment.
Toss back in. Marshall wins it down, was looking for Hill. Houston cut him off. Dropped the footy though. Fresh airy from Higgins. Radaglia hacks it out of dodge. Tumbling footy. Foot race is on. Burgoyne and Hasty, and the Power defender wins out. Burgoyne has been elite tonight. Career high 26 touches. Finds Willie Rioli. Now Horne-Francis can turn behind half forward. Loads up towards the goal square. Dixon's one out. Nearly pulled it down. Going to ground low was Howard. Dixon can gather. Snap and miss. That was the game. A chance to seal it. And it's out on the full. A lifeline for St Kilda, who are down by 10. 4 minutes to go.
Bonner takes the kick in. Forced to kick long. And Burgoyne, the young man, stands up again. Under extreme pressure from Hasty, Burgoyne took the mark. He's 55 out, pointing at the goals. He wants to take every bit of his 30 seconds. Called the play on by the umpire. He goes 25 from goal with the kick. Lots of numbers there. Ball finds its way to Burne-Jones. Lost it. Steele lost it as well. Through came Horne-Francis. Wanted a free kick. Gave the head pass to Wines. And Wines hooks a goal through. Enormous goal by Ollie Wines. The Brownlow medalist stands up. Horne-Francis was taken high, but the umpire, I think, correctly ruled that he ducked into it deliberately. He got the hand pass to Wines, who did the rest. And Port Adelaide looks safe now, 11-16, 82. St Kilda, 10-6, 66. Well into time on in the final quarter.
Just seeing the replay of the Horne-Francis non-paid free kick. I think it was a good call. I agree with you, Crossy. It was one of those where he put his head down, he started to come up and then lifted that shoulder. So good decision by the umpire, but Ollie Wines take a bow again, just under pressure. And it's almost the sealer for Port Adelaide. 3 minutes left on the clock. They've still got time, the Saints, but they must get a centre bounce clearance here.
Done a lot of grunt work tonight, Ollie Wines.
Marshall wins it down. Bursting through was Burns. Got a toe to it. Cut off by Jones. Ricochets to battle. Off a step inside 50. Higgins diving. Couldn't take the mark. picked up by Mead, tucked it under the shoulder and tried to race away from Wilson. Went to ground, gave it away. Membry taps it off to Sinclair, spears it around the body, the flaring kick. Radaglia dove across to knock it down. Bergman clears for the Power. Stocker's there for the Saints, couldn't control it. Front and square was Wines. Hooks it around the body through centre wing. Free kick. Dixon caught over the shoulder by Howard. That'll be the settler. The big man's had 4 tonight. Too far out to score here, but certainly happy to hold things up and waste a bit of time with a 16-point lead.
You feel they've done enough. They realise now, with 2.5 minutes remaining, they've gone back, just maintain possession, Port Adelaide.
So Dixon went back to Marshall. That's Todd Marshall. And he went wide for Houston. So Marshall's been sent back behind the ball for Port Adelaide. Long kick down the line. And, well, I thought Wilkie had another mark, but he doesn't. It comes out to Wines into the forward pocket with a kick. Loose was Horne-Francis. Kick was wide and out of bounds in that scoreboard pocket. Port Adelaide look good things now. 16 points up. Beyond the 24-minute mark, counting up to 25 minutes in this final term.
2 minutes remaining. Just feel Port Adelaide to be a huge win with all the injuries that they've copped throughout this game.
Dixon in the ruck contest fell into the ball drop. Managed to paddle it to Burne-Jones, who's set upon by a couple of Saints and will get a ball up. Still inside attacking 50 for the Power. 16 points their lead. The Cathedral in the backdrop. Punters on their feet, on the hill. Sweet wins it down straight towards Burne-Jones, who again is manhandled by Manganine Miller. And another ball up to come. Still 30 out. Slight angle to the right. Let's see if third time's the charm. Sweet gets a hand to it. Bounces wide at Burne-Jones, who paddled it straight to the Saints. Steele uses Wilson, gets it back. Overhead handball to Sinclair. And the skipper keeps running. Steele down the outer wing. Little high for Caminiti. Zert Thatcher can hack it back. Only found Battle, and they're racing through an empty centre square. 1, 2 bounces for Battle. Thought about a third in the end, gives it away. A tumbling footy to Burns, who sidesteps Wilson, races to 45 outside of the boot entry. He's looking for Hill, brought to ground. Here's Membry, gathers, looks inside, finds Cordy, who marks 25 out, slight angle to the left. They've got to go.
1 minute remaining, clock still running.
Zane Cordy, the swingman, had 7 goals last season. The Premiership Bulldog has to deliver and gives the Saints a little bit of hope. Puts it over the goal umpire's hat for their 11th of the night. 10-point game. Port 11-16-82. The Saints 11-6-72. Time is running out. Can they pull off a miracle?
A win isn't a centre clearance important too. At the moment, you've got you've got 47 seconds remaining, so there's still plenty of time. So you'll watch the wingers here. So Todd Marshall's up on the wing. He's going to float straight behind onto the half-back. And you'll watch the half-forwards come down and they'll throw. Look at this now, though, just the whole back line. How open it is. The Saints are moving back deep to the square.
And this is where it's really important from Port Adelaide's perspective. You can't get breached through the front of the centre bounce. So Willem Drew at the moment is playing the sweeper role. He's got to hold and force them wide. Because if he doesn't and they get breached through the middle, they can run and bounce and kick a goal from 50, the Saints.
Yep, there's 50 metres of space begging to be used there. But it goes towards Port Adelaide's way. Coming through, Wanganeen Miller up. Gave it off. Stocker down to half forward. At the back, ball punched forward. There's a free kick there. And it will go to Port Adelaide, and that'll be enough, you'd think. It'll go to Radaglia. And he's got options to left and options to the right. And he'll just want to hold on to the ball as long as possible. Backs up some 25 metres from the mark. Takes his time. Sends it along to the outer side.
Packer waits there. Front position was Sweet. Slipped out of his grasp. Wines charging by. Just kicks for territory. It's bouncing towards right half forward. Didn't get the kind angle. It'll be over the line and deliberate. Racing back in. Wilson for the Saints. Sends it through the outer wing. He's looking for Higgins. Gets some space. Takes the mark in front of Mead. Wheels around. And time runs out. The battered and bruised Power hang on. But at what cost? Port Adelaide bounces back under the Friday night spotlight. as St Kilda's season slips away. Port Adelaide winners by 10 points, 11-16-82 to the Saints 11-6-72. Back and forth game in prime time that largely stayed within single digits up until the final term. St Kilda led by 7 at quarter time. Port took the lead at the half by 10, 13 at three-quarter time, and ultimately winners by 10. The goal kickers, 4 to Dixon, 2 to Rioli, singles to Rosie, Palpepper, Wines, Georgiadis and Burn-Jones. For the Saints, 2 to Owens and Higgins, singles to Hill, Cordy, Filippo, Membry, Sinclair, Sharman and Caminiti. Carnage for both sides. Rosie a hamstring, Alir a concussion, Palpepper a knee, and possible suspensions as well for Farrell and Jack Higgins. Ultimately, though, the 4 points go the way of the power. We'll take you downstairs for the presentation of the Peter Badco medal in a moment's time. We're with you for the next 45 minutes. If you want to get in touch, the text line 0437 774 774.
Palpepper, Rosie, Alir, all out there saying, congratulating St Kilda or commiserating for St Kilda, but congratulating their own guys for the win.
6-day turnaround for them with a showdown to come on Thursday night. The Saints, meanwhile, slumped to 2 and 5. And they'll be facing North Melbourne and Hawthorn across their next two as they try to hang on to any hope of a finals campaign. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross calling the action for you tonight. Your experts to break it all down. Premiership Crow Rod Jamieson, or Australian midfielder Josh Franco.
Well, I'm always a little reluctant to actually reference Anzac Day, but it's all about mateship, camaraderie, bravery and courage, and you'd have to say that Port Adelaide were all of that in that last quarter when they absolutely had their backs up against the wall. The rotations were 16-8 in that last quarter, so they were almost out on their feet. And the injuries they've got too. Sharman also, Cooper Sharman, he looks like I'm not quite sure what injury he's done, but he's ended up in the red at the end of this game for the St Kilda. But, gee, how good were they able to just hang on when they had to? I thought that the Saints were actually going to come and run over the top. And we felt that actually Port Adelaide probably run their race. They're just sort of getting the footy and bombing it forward as opposed to thinking about the way that they were moving the football. But put Bergman off the back line. Stood up.
He was
probably
good.
Had one of his better games.
He was very good. And if you looked at just some of the numbers overall for the game, disposals, contested possessions, the tackle count, the inside 50s, the scoring shots, you would have thought that it's Port Adelaide by a long way. But as you said, to the credit of St Kilda, they were able to hang in there and nearly snatch the game in the end, and at times looked threatening, but just couldn't quite get the job done. Didn't have the polish. I think we mentioned that in the last quarter. Just didn't have the polish when it really counted to be able to really challenge Port Adelaide and put some scoreboard pressure on them.
10-6 since quarter time, Port Adelaide. And the Saints, they kicked 3, so they've kicked 8-3 at the same time. So that Port Adelaide were able to straighten it up. But 8 behinds in that first quarter really allowed St Kilda to stay in the game with only one of those being rushed.
And I reckon with the kicking for Port Adelaide, it's easy to dismiss it as, oh, that was just an off night, but it's happened too often with Port Adelaide, which I reckon is a real concern. I know that's been well documented. They've spoken about the work that they're doing on their goal kicking, but it must be at times a bit of head scratching in the Port Adelaide coaching box in terms of their inability to really put sides away when they have momentum.
Well, Mitch Georgiadis kicked 1 goal 4. Travis Boak 2, probably easy ones, that one late.
Let's head downstairs for the presentation of the Peter Badco medal.
The late Major Peter Badco VC, who was the last South Australian to be awarded the military's highest honour for bravery, the Victoria Cross. Major Badco's Victoria Cross was awarded for not one, but 3 actions of bravery in Vietnam, which occurred between the 23rd of February and the 7th of April, 1967. The winner of tonight's medal has been selected by 5 industry representatives. And tonight, the medal will be presented by Peter Badco's niece, Carol Brayley. The winner of the Badco medal, whose conduct and play during tonight's game best exemplifies the Anzac spirit, displaying skill, courage in adversity, self-sacrifice, teamwork and fair play, from the Port Adelaide Football Club, Willem Drew.
We can now mention that Rod Jamieson was one of the members who voted for this award. And Jamo, who did you vote with your 3-2-1?
There's the man, Willem Drew. I gave him 3 votes for Port Adelaide. Just the way that he went about it, spent most of the time on the wing. You know, his defensive work outstanding. I gave Jack Sinclair, I thought he was tremendous for the Saints. I gave him 2 votes. And Ollie Wines.
First of all, it's a great honour to win this award, and so as we as a club and the St Kilda Footy Club love playing on Anzac Day or Anzac Round, and we really value it, and it's a great turnout, so thanks everyone. Cheers.
Thank you very much to Carol Brayley, and congratulations once again to Willem Drew, winner of the Badco medal for 2024.
So his first Peter Badco medal, Willem Drew, and it's always so reassuring when the guy you voted for wins it all. Jamo, I'm poor Cameron Ling's been copying it left, right and centre after Anzac Day. Always a tricky one, and I think the differential tonight, which we kind of touched on in the pre-game, isn't so much about best of field, it's who displays the best Anzac spirit. And you can look at the numbers across the night. Butters had 27, Burgoyne had 27, Jack Sinclair 28, 4 goals to Charlie Dixon. But why did you go Willem Drew?
Well, I just thought the way that he played his role tonight too. He was out on the wing, and then when he had to, he went into the middle. I think Josh caught him out as to where he had to stand on the defensive side too, or the attacking side really, for Port Adelaide in the middle of the ground late in the game. But his defensive work all night, he's had 7 tackles, 11 contested. His ground ball gets 2, his clearance work and inside 50. So, albeit I don't think he was probably Port Adelaide's best player for the night in terms of his contribution, but he depicted everything about the Peter Badco medal and why I went with him. And a long-standing joke, and special mention to Cam Guthrie as well.
Josh, you happy with that decision?
Yes. Yeah,
3-2 to Sinclair, 1 to Wines.
Well, that's the way he plays, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's his sort of bread and butter. His one wood is just that selfless nature in the way that he plays, and you're right, he displayed everything that it represents tonight.
And I think Jack Sinclair too, I just the way that he just sacrificed his game too. Majority of the time he spent across the half-back line, then he went into the middle to try and get things going, and he had to negate Zach Butters for some part of the time, but through that point he was also pretty selfless, and the way that he went about winning his football. He's had 4 tackles, 11 contested, 9 ground ball gets, 4 clearances, 6 inside 50s and 28 disposals in the end. And I just thought Ollie Wines just got better as the game went on, and his ability to win the football and just hack it forward and win the football around that hard contested area. And I think over time, albeit he's been a tremendous contributor to the Port Adelaide Footy Club too, hasn't he? But there was many a time in his 234th game that he was the number 1 player.
Yep.
Brownlow medalist, the one that we or Port Adelaide wanted to win the football. Now he's got so much support around him off the half-back line in Farrell and Houston. They come into the middle, Willem Drew, and then certainly the wings, and then Rosie, Butters, Powell Pepper, all the guys. But certainly the biggest story tonight is to, the injuries to, the Port Adelaide players in Sam Powell Pepper. What will that be? He'll get a scan, if not tomorrow, certainly on Monday, so they'll find out where that's at. Alir, no doubt, if he's failed the concussion, so he's out for the 12 days. And then how serious is the Connor Rosie one? You would think to come up in 5 or 6 days, that's just not going to happen either.
It's a tricky one. The next fortnight it looks pretty precarious. So a showdown is always uncertain, depending on how Adelaide go tomorrow against North Melbourne. Who knows where they'll be at, but maybe it's a chance for them to reignite their season. Geelong away on the Friday night after that, and then they've got the Hawks in North Melbourne. But it's these next 2 weeks for Port Adelaide where if you've lost a lot of star players, and we do boast about their depth a lot, can they survive these next 2 weeks?
Well, it probably highlights the importance of getting the 4 points tonight, doesn't it? I mean, if they went down tonight against St Kilda, they've got those 2 games coming up, which are, toss of a coin, or having said that, Geelong over there is really probably one of the toughest asks in the game currently as we speak. But that just shows how important it was just to get over the line and scratch out a win tonight, which Port Adelaide did it. Again, it wasn't probably a pure Port Adelaide game that we've seen when they can move the ball, exquisitely through the middle of the ground. But as we said, all the indicators, all the stats pointed to a Port Adelaide win, and they were able to grind it out.
Well, I think it's the position they get themselves in, and when you have a look at the inside 50s, it wasn't significant differential, but 53 to 46, and when you have a look at how many behinds they did kick and the easy shots in which they missed, again, I don't know. We do talk about the ability that's the thing that has not improved across the sport in many years.
Thoughts of Rod Jamieson and Josh Franker. We'll have all the fallout coming your way over the next half hour. Port Adelaide winners by 10 points. Let's head into the winners' rooms with Josh Money.
Yeah, here come the delighted yet exhausted Port Adelaide players. An enormous win in the context of their season. Pretty warm favourites coming into the night, but the way the night unfolded and with three key players going down throughout the game, it took everything they had to get over the line, and this song will be sung, as I said, with a bit of exhaustion, but certainly plenty of gusto as well, because they certainly needed a response after last week, and they gave that in spades in a pretty courageous win. Jordan Sweet just getting a shower in his first power win. It may have come at a cost, but that's a big win for the Power. We'll be back shortly with the milestone man himself, Zach Butters.
And the good signs heading into the rooms was Connor Rosie didn't have any ice on the hamstring. Maybe that's a positive look heading into a showdown 6 days away, but maybe not, at least nothing too significant in terms of how long he could miss. 0437 774 774 is the text line. M from Melbourne says, hi team, good call and commentary. Port kept going through there. They were undermanned. Great job. They've come so far, considering their past injuries, to have a full team at the start of this season. And now they get more injuries. They can't catch a break, but they've done so well. And what will Ross Lyon do now? That's from M on the text line. And it's an interesting one for poor old Ross. They do have a pretty handy fortnight to come with North Melbourne and Hawthorn to try and bounce back in terms of their season. But it was always going to be a tough task to knock off Port Adelaide on the road, and they were very competitive tonight. They get some superstars coming back over the next few weeks as well. Brad Crouch will be around the mark. Max King will come back in. But at 2-5, is it too little too late, Josh?
Well, it's interesting you say that. Looking at the numbers, and we called the Adelaide game last week. They're now 1-5. Everyone's writing them off. Well, say everyone. A lot of the football public say they got no hope. They win tomorrow. They're the same number of wins and losses as St Kilda.
Yeah.
And you talk about the Saints with those players to come back, but again, we go back to what we said at the start of the game or in the pre-game, is that I don't think they've got the overall class to be able to then go and get on a 6 or 7 game winning streak. They'll be around the mark in terms of win-loss from here on in, and they'll win their fair share of games. But do they have the class and the cattle to be able to really challenge and push for finals, considering they're 2-5?
And they have to grind it out. Kangaroos, Hawks, next to Fremantle, Melbourne, then West Coast. The injuries are the significant ones, because a lot of them are their first selected players. So Max King is a knee, we're unsure. Brad Crouch is saying 3 weeks. Dan Butler, 6 weeks. Liam Henry is still 3 weeks away. Hunter Clark, a week. What else we got down here? Well, Jimmy Webster was suspended. Mason Wood still another week away. So they've got some quality to come back in, but can they get them back into the time? I mean, they've still got to perform and win games during that period too. So the next 3 to 5 weeks are certainly very critical for the Saints to get back and go. I like them. There's a lot to like about the way that they play. I don't know. The firepower up forward, isn't it? I mean, Memory's the one who gives a lot. Jack Higgins, lively. Certainly Sharman going off in that last quarter too. But you put Max King up there. Far out, does that?
Just on Sharman, from the Saints, that was tactical.
So that was tactical?
That was tactical, so they went with the slightly smaller player.
Hasty?
Yeah.
Yep.
He's 190 centimetres, Sharman 193. Slightly different. I think Hasty's more of a runner, though, than Sharman.
Yeah, right. Mitch Owens was good. 2 goals tonight, too, around goals. And Darcy Wilson, certainly a couple of young players coming through that haven't played a lot of footy, and they look like they're good players.
Philosophically, Josh, though, if you look at the way Port Adelaide's playing, you look at the side that really, the orange tsunami of GWS seems to be the thing that's working the best when they're rolling. Much like last year with Collingwood when they got rolling. Is that what St Kilda has to find? They need to find some pace through the midfield if they're going to be able to compete with those sides that are running hard like that?
I reckon that's a fair comment. But again, I'll probably go back to you line up GWS's list, Collingwood's list compared to... And maybe I'm being too harsh on St Kilda. Possibly I am, but I just don't think they've got the top-end talent and the depth of top-end talent those other sides do.
But is there another way? That's what I'm saying. When you say, OK, well, can you win against the talent that's available from Collingwood or the likes of Collingwood, Geelong, GWS, and that streaming forward in unison, can you win any other way other than doing that with the talent that's available to a St Kilda or a other side?
Yeah, well, possibly. But then I guess if you're Ross Lyon, you're sitting up in the coach's box and you're in charge of the St Kilda list, do you almost say, well, we're not going to change the way we play. We're still going to defend the way we want to defend, and we just got to keep building the list how we want to build it. But you're right, in terms of the top-end sides in the comp, the way they play, it's when they're up and going, they're unstoppable.
Dougal Howard, for me, it's his first game back in, but I think they're a little susceptible with him back in defence.
Yep.
Again, I haven't seen enough of him in recent time, and I know he was back there for a while, but he gives away some silly frees, and I don't always find he is reliable with his hands or his feet. Whereas, when you have a look at, Josh Battle's coming back, Jack Sinclair, I think Riley Bonner's settled in. Cullen Wilkie, we spoke about how good he's been. Zane Cordy's got some experience too in that area. And Wangani Miller, he's got some talent coming off it. So I think there's some stability in the back half. And the way that they do defend as a team predominantly, they've kicked 11 goals, so it's not a huge score. Albeit it could have been very different, obviously, in the first quarter with the 8 behinds. But I think Brad Hill, certainly getting to the end at, age 30, he still provides a bit of speed and carry through the middle, and they've got some real stability and ball winners that accumulate as well. So I actually don't mind them. It's their firepower up forward. I just don't think they've got the targets at the moment.
The rumblings are they've thrown a mega offer at Luke Davies-Uniacke from North Melbourne, who is a Victorian and will be out of contract next year. So that pre-agent kind of possibility to try and lure him over. And if you do look at their list profile, aside from Ross and Hill that are in their 30s, you've got most of their prime guys at 27, 28. So they still feel like if you can get a guy in now, you've got 2 to 3 years to try and compete with your best. And maybe he's the missing piece in that midfield that at the moment's lacking a bit of firepower.
Well, I think Windhager is again, you probably didn't see the best of him tonight, but he certainly still had a reasonable game. He's had 21. Gets a lot of the hard football. There's stuff to work there with. Outside of Rowan Marsh, if he had gone down with that groin or didn't get back on, he was limping and he took some courageous marks around the ground. They're in a lot of trouble. Who do they're going to throw Caminiti into the ruck, and then they further struggle up forward.
And I guess by sounding negative around St Kilda, and in fairness to them, they're a chance to win tonight. So they lost by 10 points. They win the game. Conversation is probably completely different. So probably being a little bit unfair on St Kilda.
Other side of the coin for Port Adelaide, in terms of how they won it and where they won it, how reliant are they on Charlie Dixon kicking those 4 goals, and how excellent was he standing up to kick those 4 goals? And in terms of ranking importance, how much do you have to manage him to get through the season?
Yeah. Well, I think even further to that, I still really worry about Port Adelaide's really aggressive mindset. Because when they're on and they're playing the bottom 8 sides, and maybe that's why there's such a differential between when they play the top 8 sides and the bottom 8s in terms of their win-loss. But they are so aggressive. And if you want to be aggressive and you go back through the middle, if you turn that footy over, then good luck defending it on the way back. But when they do get it right, and you talk about Dixon, he's almost unstoppable as that forward. He's got space to run into and contested mark. I thought he was really good again tonight. But Port Adelaide, their method of ball movement and the way they play, when you play the really good sides at the MCG, would worry me.
That's a really valid point, actually, too. You know, like there is a time when you go and you want to keep going, but you do. If you go as hard as they go and you don't get it right, you are going to struggle.
Yeah, as they did last week.
Yep.
Thoughts of Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco, the fallout of the Friday night fixture here at Adelaide Oval that saw Port Adelaide winners by 10 points over the Saints. 11-16-82 to St Kilda's 11-6-72. Let's get some reaction down in the rooms with Josh Money.
Thanks, Aaron. Got the milestone man here himself in Zach Butters. Zach, congrats on 100 games. Have you played many tougher than the way that one unfolded tonight?
Yeah, it was definitely a hard slog, and we sort of prepared for that coming into the game with St Kilda and probably the previous contest we've had with them, and watching them throughout the year as well. They're always in pretty close games, and they're a good defensive side. So, we sort of expected to be that way, so very proud of the boys.
How does that change for that midfield group in particular when those rotations go down so much?
Yeah, you sort of just have to grit your teeth and go a bit harder and probably sacrifice a few less rotations, but I think we train to the highest standard, so we're well prepared in their moments, and unfortunately to lose a few, but I thought we stood up in there when it mattered, so it was good.
You did lose a few and some key players as well in Alir, Sam Pepper and Connor Rosie as well. Do you have an update on those three boys?
Yeah, I think Connor's just got some hamstring tightness, and with a short turnaround, I think they didn't really want to take too many risks. I think with Pep at the moment, they're going to have to wait on a scan, but hopefully it's just a jarred knee or a sprained knee. And then Ali was the obvious one, obviously ruled out with the concussion protocol. So, that'll be the process. The AFL stands by, so I'm sure the club will sort that out.
You said during the week you hadn't reflected too much on 100 games. Have you now? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, it's very special. Very special to get the win. Anzac round as well. Good to have some family and friends in the room from back home. So, just really happy to get the win and be back on the winners list. And I was saying to my old man this morning, it's probably something I'll reflect on a bit better when I'm probably his age. So right now you're sort of in the heat of the moment, in the thick of the season, you don't get too much time to sort of think. It's sort of 24 hours and then move on to the next week.
Beautiful. I'll throw you up to the box.
Yeah, Zach, Rod Jamieson, congrats on your 100. It doesn't feel, you debuted in 2019, you're 5 years in. Does it feel like that time has gone quick for you as well?
Yeah, it's definitely gone quick. I remember getting drafted and all the older boys at the time said, yeah, time flies, and they were playing their 200s and stuff, and you think you're a million miles away, and then to get here tonight and get a good win, it has felt like it's come pretty quick, to be honest.
Josh did touch on the challenges through the rotation and injuries, so I thought that was probably one of Jace Burgoyne's better games tonight.
Yeah, he was huge. Very impressive, Jace. I think he's been pretty good the last few weeks, and he took it to another level tonight. And, I think everyone within the four walls really believed in him for a long time, and I think he's starting to grow with confidence, and you guys are probably seeing that on the TV, and we really want him in the team, and he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Zach, Josh Franco, congratulations on your 100 games and well played tonight. Just can you give the listeners a bit of an insight into the Bagco medalist Willem Drew, what he means to the group, and I guess the support that he gives that midfield group?
Yeah, he's a tough nut. So happy he got the medal. He probably goes underrated throughout the year, so it was good to get him some recognition. And I think he just works really hard. He gets the work in there. He fights, does a lot of probably the dirty work, and we love playing with him. He's so valued at the footy club, and he's become a leader of the football club as well, and a lot of the boys look up to him, and one of my favourite teammates to play with.
Zach, Neil Cross here. Both our experts, Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco, talking about the excesses of going to the corridor sometimes, that you don't seem to, not you personally, but as a team, you're just going there at all costs sometimes. Is that something that's you're aware of, and you're just choosing moments badly sometimes, but you've got to work on it?
Yeah, I think there's obviously that balance in offence, and I feel like we've got a fair few weapons in our team that can get in there and get dangerous and hit them kicks, and I think that at times there's a balance and you have to work on that, but we're not going to shy away from going after. We want to win games of footy and playing in good games, and I feel like obviously there's a few little things we need to tighten up around there and get that better and find other ways to score as well, but it's a bit of our brand.
Charlie Dixon tonight, your thoughts on his performance coming back after a rest? He seemed like he was close to his best.
Yeah, he's a barometer for us. We love playing with him. He brings energy, and he's tough and provides a good contest up there. And it was good to see him get some rewards. Some weeks he probably doesn't get it. So, really special to see him get rewarded tonight. And I think he was up and about after the rest. He's been up in the hills, just tucking away, working on his shed and relaxing and resetting. And it was good to see him come out fine tonight.
He's been drag racing, hasn't he?
Oh, he does a bit of everything, that man. He's a mechanic by trade, builder by trade, farmer by trade. He loves switching off from footy, and I feel like it's been really crucial for us this year with his energy, and the boys love playing with him.
Hey, Zach, Aaron Bryant's here. I wanted to get you to take us into the three-quarter time huddle. It sounds like Ken Hinkley had a Anzac-inspired speech for the playing group.
Yeah, he actually did, and I thought it was quite motivating, and really got the boys up and about, just with a few men down and being Anzac around. Just talked about mateship and digging deep, and sort of doing it for the boys that couldn't be out there, and just finding that extra bit, because it was going to be tough. We knew it was going to be hard work. So it's good to fight it out and get the win.
What's it like in the build-up to a game like this? Obviously, it's not Anzac Day and a sold-out MCG, but you've got your observance ceremony, so you've come out, you warm up, you go to the ceremony, which pauses for a good 6 to 8 minutes, and then you've got to get ready again within 2 minutes' time to play a game. Does that kind of impede the build-up to Bounce Down?
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but the ceremony is very special, and we get you very excited to play, and sort of seeing the crowd just go dead silence, and sort of just everyone in the same moment at the same time is pretty special. So very grateful to be out there in this round and perform for the Port Adelaide Football Club and wear it with pride, and it's a real honour.
Hey, Zach, just one other thing. Every team goes through it, but you start so well, particularly last week and then today, 1 goal, 8. And there was only one rushed in there. Then you go on to kick sort of 10 goals, 6 for the rest of the game. I mean, how do we overcome it? How do teams try and overcome it? Because you provide yourself so many opportunities too, and you can almost put teams away before half-time.
Yeah, most definitely. And, mate, I think if I knew the answers to our goal kicking sometimes would be right up there, and we probably wouldn't lose so many games. But that's life and that's footy. We're going to miss some. But I think it's about what you do next and keeping your effort and your intensity the same to make sure that when their moments come again, you're in the right mindset to execute them. And, I thought we did that in the second quarter. Obviously, we missed heaps of goals in the first quarter, and then I think we come out in the next quarter and kick 5 goals, 1. So I think it's just about remaining calm and making sure when you get their moments again that you can capitalise.
And Zach, before we let you go, the showdown upcoming on Thursday night. The Crows are currently 1-5 and have North Melbourne tomorrow. I know there's a fair bit of feeling between the two playing groups. What would it mean if you could essentially end Adelaide's season on Thursday?
Yeah, it's still early in the season. Anything can happen. They can get on a roll, and they're still a very good footy side. So I wouldn't count them out just yet, and showdowns are like finals, so it's going to be a good contest, and I'm really looking forward to it on Thursday night.
100 games in and he knows not to take the bait. Good job, Zach. Thanks for your time.
I feel like I've been around a little bit now.
Congratulations on the victory. Zach Butters downstairs. Port Adelaide winners by 10, 11-16-82 to St Kilda's 11-6-72. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
I thought he was going to suggest taking to the Rams game.
No.
That'd be a good start, wouldn't it? I'll meet you there Wednesday night.
He'd be the odds-on favourite if they did all end up there, for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Anyway.
Where do you see the state of Port Adelaide's season then? So 5-2 now, and we touched on it a bit in the pre-game that they're not going to be judged until September, but did we learn anything new about them tonight?
I think Josh raises a really good point. I know Zach sort of batted it away a little bit too, but I know they want to take the game on, but I think at times they do need to balance against the good sides when to take them on. And I think that's what the good sides really do. And when you have a look at Geelong and GWS and to Collingwood, to, I guess, to a less degree, the really good sides do, at times, work their way through the game and they know when they have to go. But it has made me think a lot more about it, just the way that they magnify it. They just want to go all the time. And I know it's about scoring, I get that, but they need to balance that at different parts of the game. I don't necessarily like the full transition, like across the back half where they'll have 4 kicks and don't go forward. It's just that short, 45, go 20 metres, go 10, and then when you can, get it over the back.
I reckon the real challenge, and I don't know when Port Adelaide take on GWS, but Crossy, back to your point, that the Orange Tsunami, when they go, they go. So if you give them the opportunity and turn it over in a dangerous spot, then good luck. Yeah, and hold on defending and try to stop them from scoring.
Maybe it's just because they do wear an orange jersey, but geez, it looks like there's a lot of them get around as soon as you break down, they are off to the races.
And what I would also say to that is, watching GWS they don't look to have that insatiable appetite like Port do to go back through the middle and take those long 45 kicks which have high hang time and, turnover territory. They do it with better method. Although, having said that, when Port are on and they move the ball and they've got the ability to access the corridor, again, they're unstoppable, but it just worries me. And we saw it last week. If they keep trying to pierce back through the middle and take risks against these better sides, they absolutely destroy you on turnover. Whereas tonight, St Kilda couldn't quite capitalise and really make them pay.
As we said, as you said, just didn't have the polish.
No, that's right. But the good sides do, and that's when you get cut up.
Well, that was all Collingwood last year, wasn't it? They had that bravery to go into the middle of the ground, but they were precise when they moved it.
Yeah,
round 14 after the bye. That's when they take GWS.
Where's
on.
that going to play? Is that
up
here?
there?
Oh, up there. Okay.
We miss out.
Yeah.
We'll hang out till September. Hopefully we'll be here. Port Adelaide winners by 10 points, 0437 774 774 if you do want to get in touch with us. There's a lot coming your way tomorrow. So AFL Saturday from 12 Eastern. In WA, you'll have Sports Talk from 10 local and 11 local here in South Australia. You'll have SA Grandstand for all the fallout of tonight and the preview of Adelaide and North Melbourne, which we will take you to at 1:30 Eastern Daylight Time in Tassie, the first of 3 games. It'll be followed by Geelong and Carlton at the G from 4:30, and then Fremantle and the Western Bulldogs at Perth Stadium from 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time. So 4 games in the book in round 7. Melbourne winners alongside the Giants, Port Adelaide, and the draw between Essendon and Collingwood. We had a few texts across the night, gents, about where does Collingwood sit in the grand scheme of things, where does Carlton sit in the grand scheme of things, and obviously after just seeing Port Adelaide and wondering, I guess, where they rank, do you have a top 4 in mind as to who looks like the teams to beat?
Oh, I'm still a big fan of Melbourne. And the more I'm watching Sydney and seeing what they can offer, clearly the Giants, and for some reason we all tend to write off Geelong a little bit, don't we? Like we just go, they're not going to do it again, but they clearly can, and they're up there as well. And I'm not quite sure about Collingwood just yet. I'm not prepared to write them off. And, Carlton, you're just a little unsure as to what they can give you. But when they're up and about, they can play some seriously good footy. So there's probably 6 teams in there for me. And I probably include Port Adelaide in there at the moment. I think they can work their way. So
didn't that make 7?
Well, there's 7.
He's just listing off everyone in the top 8 in the ladder right now. But that's the state of the season, though, isn't it? So there's not a real clear gap between the best and the rest.
So there was just common sense, wasn't
it? It's still early days as well.
Yeah.
We're only round 7. Totally. Just started round 7.
But how can that impact? Like if sorry, Crossy. I mean, if all 3, like Connor Rosie misses 1, 2 or 3 games with a hamstring, Sam Powell-Pepper's out, Aliir's out for 2. Like I don't know, have they got?
Well, it's funny you say that. The depth to cover, I was just having a look at that before. So Mackenzie, you would think would come in for Aliir, and he was really serviceable last year. You've also got Cleary there. I know they're looking at Tom Cleary more as a wingman, but he's still a defender that can play.
Finlayson, possibly.
Still suspended.
He's still out.
Yeah.
But down the track. And then Powell-Pepper McEntee, similar type of player, more pressure forward than... I know not
we haven't really
league,
touched on this, though. The loss of Powell-Pepper, if it is an ACL, what does that actually do to their campaign? Because he's not the biggest, ball winner, but in terms of what he provides with his energy, his grunt, his contested footy work, he missed the first 4 rounds through suspension, comes back in and immediately has an impact.
Yeah, well, I think Dixon too. Dixon's not going to play every game, so you're talking about a couple of barometers in there that actually go okay. Ryan Burton will possibly come back in at some particular point, but whether they could put him forward, he's not going to have the defensive pressure as what a Powell-Pepper can, but, you've still got some quality to come in. So I think there's some depth there, and they'll manoeuvre, but, if they start to get some... And it is. I mean, we're talking about the 2 Adelaide teams, Adelaide had 6 injuries and probably 6 to first 22 that are picked, so it makes an impact.
Massive.
Yep.
Huge.
Very conflicting text here from Stan in Victoria. Who
Give
says,
it to us.
Is this Stan the statistician?
No. He says, hey team, Jamo, I value your opinion, but when you reference good sides, you think the Pies are iffy. Please don't mention us. I'd rather not know. So, I rate your opinion in everything but Collingwood.
He's worried about them.
There you go.
Hang in there, Stan. There's still plenty to go.
Another listener wasn't happy with the free kick count tonight. So 25-10 in favour of Port Adelaide. I didn't overly notice it. Did either of you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah. I thought
it's very one-sided when you look back at it.
Yeah, I thought the Saints were probably loose at times in that area. I didn't think the differential was that big, but I thought they were giving away some silly frees, and Yeah, but I didn't think of the differential.